Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Streamers Unmasked. This is the podcast where we get to find out about the real lives, loves, and maybe even libations of the streamers that we fill our lives with. What is Streamers Unmasked? Streamers Unmasked is a podcast that I created because I wanted to spread the message and to explain, well, maybe not explain, but just express that streaming and content creation in general is very, very hard. It's not an easy thing to do. Whether you started content creation to hang out with your friends, show off your insane gaming skills, to become rich and famous, or just have a damn good time, no matter the motivations for you starting streaming, it's not an easy job. You're competing against millions of other people, and there's about 100 to 1,000 things going on at any point in time that could go right or could go wrong. You're putting yourself out there. You're hoping to connect with others with a chance of literally nobody coming in every single time. There's no guaranteed success, and there are just so many different things going on. This being said, streamers are everyday people with real lives, feelings, hopes, and expectations, and obviously this can be difficult. The name for the poem, Streamers Unmasked, comes from, the name for the podcast, Streamers Unmasked, comes from a poem by Paul Ernst Dunbar called We Wear the Mask. We wear the mask that grins and lies. It hides our cheeks and shades our eyes. This debt we pay to human guile. With torn and bleeding hearts we smile, and mouthed with myriad subtleties. Why should the world be overwise in counting all our tears and sighs? Nay, let them only see us while we wear the mask. We smile, but oh great Christ, our cries to thee from tortured souls arise. We sing, but oh the clay is vile, beneath her feet and long the mile. But let the world dream otherwise. We wear the mask. What does this poem mean? This poem means that in our everyday lives, we go out, we put a brave face on, and we wear the mask. We put a mask on. We don't show our true selves all the time, or what's going on, or maybe our feelings about a topic. And as streamers definitely wear a bigger, fancier, more colorful mask than anybody else, because we come here for the point, purpose, intention to entertain you guys. No matter who the streamer is, no matter their reason for streaming, no matter what's happening in their day, they're trying to entertain everybody else. And sometimes that means that, like, real human issues and topics and, just silly things just are over. Like, I just found out recently a couple people I know have children, right? And I've known them for a while. You'd think that as a dad I would know this, but just a good example of how these things don't always come out in a normal conversation. The format for the podcast is we are going to start with the IRL questions. We're going to move on to gaming questions, do the streaming questions, and towards the end of the streaming questions, we will ask some audience questions that you guys provide with us. And then we will finish up with hopefully a couple banger questions. Hopefully. But without further ado, I welcome to this week's episode of Streamers Unmasked, Siegemunde. Welcome to Streamers Unmasked, Siege.
Yo, what's good? What's good? How is everybody?
Hyping the chat. Yeah, for some reason, you asking how is everybody just made me think of my son. Some of the things he said. How are you doing today, Siege? Excited to be here?
I'm ecstatic. I'm happy to be here. How are you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. Doing all right. Always a day. It's always a day. First things first. Why don't we start off with a couple simple things, you know what I mean? Like, any
let's build up to it.
Any information you would like to share with us, just the common things. Where do you live? Your shoe size? How old are you? What do you do for a living? Anything like that you would like to share with us, just off the bat.
You know what? Shoes have always been a struggle for me. I'm not gonna lie. It's the weirdest thing, but I could be anywhere from like 12 to 15. It doesn't help that I'm 6'4". Clothes have always been difficult as well because I'm also a beanpole. But I'm a Canadian. I'm from the grand old Newfoundland. Me and I think most people know who Caspiana Ventus is. We moved up to Hamilton, Ontario, as of about 4 years ago. It was a nice change of pace for us. But yeah, rocking that Canadian streamer hype. I'm 29. I identify as he, him, but you can pretty much call me anything and I'll probably respond.
Even burnt toast.
I would absolutely reply to burnt toast.
How about
You
late for
slap a
dinner?
little butter on there, that's still palatable. We
Late
can
for
still
dinner?
rock that. That's a whole dinner right there, yeah.
No, could I call you late for dinner?
Late for dinner? I mean, sure. If I'm not, that's another thing. That's another thing. I am not a foodie.
How dare you not be a foodie?
I
So
I
sometimes I
know, I
realize
know.
the things that you pick up from like adults that you're when you were younger, right? My mom used to say things like, "You can call me anything you want, just don't call me late for dinner." So I then ask you
Yeah.
if I could call you late for dinner, and you're just like, "Yeah, I said anything you want."
No, I think my dad might have said that a couple times too, but like Newfie adages are much different than like, you know, everywhere else in the world because it's still using old Irish dialect.
What would a Newfie adage be?
A Newfie adage? Oh God. So I actually brought this up the other day to like my dad because like when we would be like horsing around as like kids or something, right? And he used to have like a thick accent too, and he'd be like, "Boy, did I even seasoning there, boy." Like that. So I asked him, I was like, "Dad, what's a dine reven? What is that?" He didn't even know. It just like the weirdest things got carried over. But yeah, there's tons of those. Like we have a whole different like way of speaking out there.
Are there many times where you just don't know words? Like words are said and you guys are just like, "Ah, you know, it means or just that."
I mean, no, there's quite a few. See, there's because it's so remote there, right? Like where I'm from is an island off the coast of an island. So there's a lot of situations like that in the province I'm from, and they're so remote that they're still using like old Irish sayings. Like a good example of that is like let's say I walked into a room and you were fighting with your kids. Rather than say like, "Hey, what happened?" I would say, "What's after happening now?" So you substitute past tense by using present and future tense. And as saying what's after happening now would actually like it makes sense to me. But like there's if you talk to certain people around in like outports and stuff, I can't understand it sometimes. Like it's that bad.
So what's after happening now?
What is after happening now?
What is your educational background, Siege?
So I went to university for performance first. I'm halfway through. Oh, I shouldn't say halfway. I'm 3 years into a computer engineering degree now. And the moment COVID hit, I kind of went like, I'm going to back out for now because I'm definitely not somebody who could learn remotely. Like, I'm pretty sure we've got some undiagnosed ADD, which would make sense, but I know for a fact like I would not be able to, and I didn't want to waste the money. So I do absolutely plan on going back. It's just a matter of that actually coming to fruition and being applicable because I there's no way I could sit in front of a computer and learn. I think yeah, like a lot of people I feel like probably feel that way.
I think that very difficult, especially. So I went to school online for my second half of my university, and you are literally teaching yourself. It's not
Yeah.
like yeah, there's the remote learning things and stuff like that, but like
Mm.
most online schooling, you like even if you had remote learning because of how weird and stuff would be, it's like you were reading the book, you're teaching yourself how to do things, and sometimes you're just throwing a hail mary and saying a prayer and being like, okay, good.
I find that's a lot of university anyway. Like a lot of my situations involving like coding is a great example. My profs will not tell us how to code. They'll give us like a rough idea and an example, and then we have to like Google the hell out of everything. And what did you go to school for, if you don't mind me asking?
I originally went to school for mathematics.
Okay, so I mean, you definitely know what's up.
I got through a lot of that, and then it got rough, and I decided to drop out. And I went back and finished my degree in accounting instead.
I mean, both are pretty viable, but I mean, mathematics, I got mad respect because, like, I think it was data structures and algorithms for me, like the hard math stuff that really killed me.
Oh god, it got fucking disgusting. Like
Oh yeah.
I've always been good at math. I
Hmm.
like math. I don't. Just math always made sense. This being said, once you get into exponential differential equations and linear algebra and some of these other fucking crazier, like, data and structure class you just
I checked that even earlier than that. The moment imaginary numbers were a thing, I was like, okay, no.
Oh
No,
god, right? Well,
Yep.
actually, crazy enough, one of the things that freaked me out the most about college was I went to a college that had a lot of foreign professors, right? And I went into a class, and the teacher had like a very thick accent. She was of Asian descent, and she was talking. She was like noting on the board and talking this whole time. And I swear to fucking god, she kept talking about the universe function. Okay. Yeah, the universe function this, the universe function that, the universe function this, and then she's writing the thing for like the inverse function of something on the board, which now I'm totally not down a rabbit hole that most people now aren't following already. But because she was talking about the universe function repeatedly and writing it with different notation, I lost my mind. I quit the class. I was just like, at first I was like freak. I literally sat through the whole class not learning a damn thing. I was like, was there some reading I didn't know about over the summer, like before I came into this class, like what's going on, and then blah 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 blah, and then I finally found out what she was talking about, but I was already so out of it. I was just like, done. I'll take 3 classes this semester. Thank you very much.
Yep. No, I had something similar actually. So I mean, Hamilton, like where I am now, is considered like the part of the GTA, which I believe either this or New York is the multicultural capital of the world. So there's a lot of foreign students, there's a lot of foreign teachers, and so we had the most difficult thing for me to wrap my head around with programming in general was the idea of object-oriented design. And so they had a course for us. It was Java. So Java, like as a programming language, is object oriented. So we did a Java course, and then after finishing the Java course, we had an object oriented design course. So we learned how to code in an object oriented environment before we actually were shown like, oh yeah, this is how you do it, by the way, which was like terrible. And then the prof for that, I think her name was like Zara something. Like she was very foreign and she was lovely. She was a lovely individual, but she had a lot of trouble with English and wonderful person, but I don't think I retained anything from that class.
I mean, I remember coding when I did it. Great rabbit hole. As I said, I don't think anybody's fine. So when I did coding originally, I remember like them like teaching you basics. They taught you what an if function was. They taught you what a than was. They taught you some of these things like a for, right, etc.
Yep.
And then they were like, okay, now find out how to make this shit work. And they gave you something super simple, the easiest thing ever, like something you could do by hand in like 2 seconds. They were like, write a code for that. And then you'd spend, a whole week trying to find out how to sort through a name alphabetically. Or whatever it was.
Oh, we got really dumb too. So all of our tests had to be handwritten. And that like killed me because like who codes and doesn't use like a program to code? But
well, our college credit class was handwritten, which was really funny, especially when you get to some of the things where it's just like you're writing the whole thing out, and you have to do line after line after line after line.
I'd walk out of tests just being like, oh my god, I can't even see. Like, it was crazy.
I'm beyond glad to be away from that now. I hope
I
hope
really
you
know.
get back to it if that is what you want to. If that is what you want to do, I hope you get back to that.
Yeah,
I'm
I
so
mean,
glad to be done with school, and I'm so glad to be done with those fucking numbers.
yeah, numbers are. I mean, hey, if Twitch never pays off for both of us, at least we've got backups, right?
Very true, very true. I mean, my primary is actually the accounting. It's just life circumstances has led to me being
Oh, yeah.
not working right now. That is
Six
that is a
eldership, by the way.
story for another time. Speaking of life circumstances, how have you been impacted by Senor COVID-19?
Oh God, oh God. So last year, when things started hitting the fan, at that time I was doing a contract, doing some information security and a little bit of level one IT stuff, so I could do it all from home. And at the same time as I was doing that, I was also employed at oh gosh, what's the Micro Center. So I'm employed by essentially what is the Canadian equivalent to your guys' Micro Centers. So I would only be working weekends there, and then I'd be doing throughout the week, chilling at home. And then all at once, I think it was about 3 months ago now, 4 months ago maybe. So the contract ended last year. I went back and worked at what is the equivalent to our Micro Center. And when that when I got laid off from that, I had nothing, and it was fine for the longest time because I mean they it's a great job. Objectively, it is a great job. But getting laid off, I had been talking for ages about getting into streaming YouTube something, and it was the perfect circumstance. But I did actually get laid off, and I never thought that would be me. But I mean, I guess nobody ever thinks that. But yeah, it was
Yep.
it was interesting.
Yeah, I think that stuff got really, really crazy during COVID for a lot of people. You guys were on lockdown for a while too, right? Because
We
we
were
in America we had a small, tiny one, right?
so we had it nasty. So we had it started with one lockdown fairly early on. I think it might have been like March-ish last year. And so after March hit, everything seemed to be getting back to normal, I guess, to some extent. And then it got worse. So we went back into a lockdown. And then a bunch of people pushed back. So they're like, okay, open it back up partially. And then we went into a third lockdown. And the third lockdown was the one I actually got laid off for. So that one was the one that started happening about 4 months ago.
So because of Twitch, I actually know a lot of Canadian people. So I definitely got that you guys were in lockdown, and then you weren't for a little while. Listen. We were in lockdown for like 2 weeks in New York, and then it was shut off. And then people were like crazy for like the two, or what, I don't even know what it was. You know, it just wasn't long enough. Clearly, 6 weeks, 2 weeks, whatever the fuck it was, like a national lockdown. And then everybody just like, I don't know. I definitely would have supported doing more of what you guys did. Because I know a lot of people who are from Canada. A lot of my streamer friends actually, and I just safer, you know.
It was, and a lot of people really fought it like hard, and it didn't make any sense to me. Because one of the big things was like essential services were not gone. Like us as a computer like repair place and like retailer, we were still you could still come in and we would serve you. We just had to serve you through the front door, and people did not want to have to be served in they wanted to look around stores. And it was really just like a sense of people feeling entitled in a lot of ways. Now, to be fair, like the area that we are in is really gentrified. So it would make sense that a lot of that entitlement is there. But we would be like fighting with people, like straight up fighting with people, like, no, you cannot come in the store. We are not allowed to have you in the store. This is not our rule. This is the law right now. And it was tough. Like that was probably the worst of it though. But I mean, after you see like 12, 13 of these a day, it becomes like second nature. No, you can't come in. No, I don't care. Go call the bylaw officer. That's fine.
Oh man, it's so. I don't understand.
Yeah, like, and it's not as if we were saying like, no, we can't serve you either. That was the big thing.
No,
And we
like
still have people like, yeah, exactly. So like, masks are a great example of this. So masks, we will still serve somebody if they can't wear a mask. We will just serve them from the front of the store, so they can't go look around. So they tell us what they want, even if they want to look at stuff, we'll bring it up to them. And we say this to people who come in without masks. And we still have people kicking back. And it's like, okay, sure, you're medically exempt, but did a doctor tell you, yeah, you're medically exempt, so go walk around stores, get yourself in a lot of trouble, put everybody else at risk too? That's fine. No, the doctor said probably, hey, so you don't have to wear a mask, you should probably stay the fuck home. Like, really? Like, for their own safety, right? Like...
Very true. Very, very true.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Just the whole situation seems very crazy to me. I think that
just do that.
I mean, like, why
it's
would
like,
you?
It's a great example of like why anarchy would never work, right? Like, have you ever heard of the shopping cart theory?
No.
Okay, so this is a great example of why anarchy wouldn't work. If you don't put a shopping cart back, will you get arrested?
No, but you do anyway.
You do because you're a good person, but somehow people leave shopping carts out in the middle of the parking lot because what are the consequences? You might get a couple stares, but you're not going to get in trouble. Nobody's going to yell at you. You're not going to get fined. And putting the shopping cart back is the easiest thing to do. You take 4 seconds to just move it over, but people still don't always do it.
I actually park right next to the shopping cart return thing.
Intentionally?
It's intentional. Every time when I go shopping, I park right next to it so that, because I'm going to put it back and I have kids. So I want to be able to put it back and then get back right in the car with the baby after I put him in the car.
It also makes sense because like then you never get blocked in either. You can always like
blocked in. You never get lost.
Yourself.
It's so much easier to find your car. Like, this is like a life hack because you buy a cart when you get there. You buy you're right by a cart when you get there. When you leave, you're right by the cart return, and you can find your car because you're like, oh, it's the cart return to the right of the, exit.
Or don't drive a Civic because Civics are always hard to find because everyone drives a Civic. At least here.
Just don't drive a Civic. That works too. Do you have any pets, Mr. C? Do you have any pets in your house?
Do I have any pets? Well, interestingly, about a week ago now, we finally got a pet. We got a 4-year-old cat named Dallas. We'd been talking about getting a pet for a while. And it just kind of happened all at once. We were like, you know what? Yeah, let's get a cat. And then immediately upon saying like, yeah, let's get a cat, my girlfriend's good friend was in the process of trying to get rid of her cat because she was moving in with her boyfriend. Now, my girlfriend, this friend of hers, they had been like hanging out periodically forever. So she knew this cat, and this cat was ideal, like fantastic cat. The cat's name is Dallas, by the way. So Dallas, cuddly but not overly. Doesn't like shit and piss in places it shouldn't. Isn't interested in wires, which was a big one for me because my entire home is all wires, everything. So that was a big one. But yeah, so in short, I do have a cat. Her name is Dallas, and she's 4, and she's lovely and black.
Sorry, my son just started screaming. I heard him from the other room, and I couldn't tell if it was here weren't that, but he was like, so I was just like, what the fuck is that? And then I thought it was coming in through like you, and I was like, it's Caspiana screaming behind you. Is this like a joke? Okay, sorry.
No, so funny thing, so Caspiana and I have two dedicated computers, but they're in the same chassis because we were like, oh, let's cut down on space. I want to do something weird with computers, so we'll put two computers, one chassis, the same power supply. I want to see if I can do it. Plus, it cuts down on space. So we can't actually would like she would be sitting here if she was streaming.
Yeah, I know. I've seen.
Oh, well. Now I know that you know.
No, I've noticed because you got the Triforce there, and the microphone's the same.
Yeah. Fair.
Do you have any? I mean, okay, I guess I do know the answer to this sort of, but do you have any hobbies outside of Twitch?
Oh God, I have so many. Um, I'm like the most hobby-filled person on the planet. I used to get really into Magic the Gathering. Planeswalker symbol there. Um, that, given how expensive it is, I've been steering away from. Um, I've been collecting games for God knows how long, and that's probably one of my bigger ones. I build a lot of Gundam model kits. I've been thinking about streaming that, but I don't know if it would be a hit, so I've been kind of hesitant. Uh, what don't I do really? I don't build Warhammer yet, but I've been thinking about that. I play a lot of D&D. Not just D&D, I do Pathfinder as well. Um, God, I do so much. I don't do Warhammer, and that's probably about it. Like anything nerdy you can think of, I'm probably the epitome. D&D gang hype.
So many. Do you enjoy reading?
Reading? Yeah. So actually, I have, you can't see them on stream here, but I have a ton of books over here. I mostly stick to fantasy stuff, but I dabble in a little bit of everything. I kind of steer away from like nonfiction. Not that I have anything against nonfiction. If a good nonfiction book arrives, I sneak that right up. But
I think that's you just said it right there. If a good one arrives, it's just that they don't usually arrive.
that's it. I find a lot of them self-indulgent too. Like you didn't write this book to tell your story. You wrote this book because you want people to know about you specifically. Like this was not. There's no benefit here, but you like indulging yourself and wanting. I don't know, money. I don't know.
I think in the age of Wikipedia and stuff, it's probably also way harder to get into any nonfiction because, like, a fantasy book or whatever that you can only get. But, like, what's there about John Wilkes Booth that you can't find out on the internet? I challenge you.
I mean, like anybody really. Like, will I read your biography? No, there's a Wikipedia page. Come on.
How do you consume your media? Do you have cable? Do you get Netflix?
Does anybody have cable anymore?
I'm sure somebody does. I have not had a single person say yes, but
Yeah. No. So, funny enough, I'm not much of a TV guy. I don't really TV. I don't really watch too many shows. The shows I do watch are like very few and far between. Like I'll sit there and watch Futurama reruns until my eyes bleed. But like, I find TV really stressful. But I think that might be because I'm not like I have no say in the outcome, and I 9 times out of 10 I don't know what happens. And I think the combination of those two things just makes me kind of steer away from it in general. But right now I have a Netflix subscription. I got a YouTube Premium subscription. I do watch a lot of YouTube. I think that's pretty much my major way of getting any information now. But
never heard somebody tell me that they don't watch much TV because it's stressful. Though it makes a lot of sense. It definitely does because, especially if you watch prime. I mean, this is like old school, but if you watch like primetime TV, You have to like. Old school was primetime TV. You had to catch it. New school is if I don't watch this episode, somebody's gonna ruin this shit on me.
Yeah, well, it's not that so much for me because I'm just now starting to get through The Mandalorian. But for me, it's like I think I'm too empathetic. I really think that's what it is. Because when I'm watching stuff like oh god, let me think of something recently. Game of Thrones. Like everyone loves Game of Thrones. I could feel the people's pain. Like I could feel the uncomfort, the uncertainty, and I don't like that. I don't like that feeling. I wouldn't wish it on anyone. And as a result of that, I'm just like, nah, I'm not gonna do it. I'm just gonna steer away from it entirely.
Definitely a solution. My brain. My apologies. If you were in the apocalypse and you were stuck in a bunker from now until eternity and you could only have one thing to eat, what would you take down with you?
Oh my lord, chicken fajitas! Chicken fajitas. Chicken fajitas all day.
That is not what I heard the first time. I was like, why
Yeah,
did you just say
fajitas.
chicken vaginas?
Do you want me to say chicken vaginas again?
I mean, go ahead.
We can talk as long as you want about chicken vaginas.
Chicken fajitas.
Yeah, chicken fajitas. Oh my gosh. And specifically, Old El Paso ones. So, my girlfriend, the way I grew up was very, very like stick to your ribs kind of cooking. It was very cheeseburger, very like spaghetti, shepherd's pie. And then my girlfriend comes into my life, and everything she cooks is like quinoa salad with like strawberries cut up in there, and I'm like, it was really weird for me to adjust to this. So I told her my favorite food was chicken fajitas, and she wanted to make them all custom and like wonderful, and they're not the same as just the old El Paso stuff off the shelf. And I swear to God, old El Paso fajitas
Like you're
every
talking
day,
about
every day.
the wrappers, or what specifically are these old El Paso fajitas you're speaking?
Is that a Canadian thing?
We don't have like fajita kits that you can buy. Does it
You
come with
don't?
like? Does it come with like chicken salsa wrappers and everything?
No, so it's this big yellow box, and it comes with fajitas and like your sauces. But no, it doesn't come with chickens. So yeah, the chicken
Okay.
is the chicken is you probably buy it off the shelf because I wouldn't want to buy like chicken that I mean.
So the fajitas are like the tortilla, right?
Yeah. So
Okay,
it's
okay.
like you
So we do
can
have
it's
those.
like
We do have
a
those.
tortilla with like chicken in there. You got some spices, peppers, like green peppers,
Was it their
and
taco
like
sauce that
onion.
you like?
What's that?
Is it their taco sauce that you like so much? Is that what it is?
Yeah. Like it's very cumin heavy. I think I'm a pretty big cumin fan.
We have those. I would just imagine something else. I was like, oh, you mean like the wraps? For some reason I said that. I mean the tortillas. It comes with like tortillas, and then it comes with the sauce, and then maybe taco seasoning, depending on the kit box you get.
And like I briefly dated a girl from Colombia too, and like even she was like, "This is the least Mexican thing I've ever seen, and it's really good though."
I mean that's fair though. Do you cook yourself?
On occasion. So the way I cook is I'll cook like and I can cook. I've lived on my own since I was 17. Um I'll cook like 8 quarts of spaghetti and I'll just freeze it. And that's the way I've always been because I don't enjoy cooking. I'm not somebody who like cuz I won't start cooking until I'm already hungry. So I can cook. I don't often cook, but when I do cook, I just freeze it all. You got to cook smart, not hard.
Cook it smarter, not harder.
Exactly. You know what's happening.
Do you have a good walkout story, whether it be a job, school or anything like that? Do you have any cool walkout story you would like to share?
Yeah, hell yeah, absolutely. So I mean, in school, like I try my first thing I try to do is charm the teacher. Once I've got the teacher charmed, I'm going to get away with anything anyway. So that was never a big thing for me. But um, my best walkout story was I was living in Barrie, Ontario, and I really wanted to get into the serving industry because at the time I was making like $11 an hour, maybe, which was minimum wage in Ontario at the time. I was working at a Home Depot, and I was all the people that I had talked to. They're like, "Yeah, you can make so much money serving. Like it's the tips. Oh, the tips. You can get so much tips." And I was like, "Okay, that's what I want to do then." And I got my serving license, and I put up an ad on Kijiji because everything I was applying to, I was getting nothing. So I just put up an ad on Kijiji, and I was like, looking for serving experience. Don't even care. And I got a call from. It was a combination home decor store, Christian bookstore, restaurant, patio. It was trying to be too many things. And yep, I am an incredibly non-theistic person. So to start, my manager was very Christian and was very opposed to my non-theism. And that didn't vibe with me, but I was like, man, whatever, whatever. It took about a week and a half, 2 weeks before she started complaining about, I don't even know. It was like the way I put money in the till was incorrect. I'm like, man, the money is in the till. It's all facing the right way. You just want the head on the dollar bill to be facing up. Fucking flip it over. Like, I know you're capable of this, right? But I did about a week and a half, and I was like, no, no. And 100% it was the manager. The manager slash owner was this entitled white Christian lady who had the world handed to her, and you could see it. And I just wrote a letter, and I was like, listen, uh, I want you to understand that I'm quitting because of your incompetence. And I walked right up to her office and went, okay, here you go. I'll be back in a week and a half for my unpaid wages here. And I hope to God you can figure this out because you are way too entitled to be in any position of authority. And I walked out. Have I told this story on my stream? I didn't think I have.
I just like how straightforward you are. You're just like, listen. First
So
off,
here's my
I
thing.
don't like your religion. This isn't REM. We ain't talking about losing our religion. Second off, you're an entitled white. You're an
Like,
entitled bitch.
you know what? Religion for some people is very important, and I would never want to take
Yeah.
that away from somebody. And that's why I would describe myself as non-theistic rather than atheistic, because I'm not opposing anything. If religion is helping you and helping you be a better person, not a more religious person, a better person, then I think you have every right and should buckle down on your religion. If that's what gets you through the day, if that's what helps you stave off depression, I am not going to take that from you.
You're not gonna take the book right out of their hand and kick the cross down.
Okay, that woman, I might have beaten her with it, but no, like
Just her though.
I do think there's a lot of value in being really straightforward like that. And there's a cat hair in my mouth. Like my kind of MO, my like one of my main things is I am not, ironically, I wouldn't consider myself too much of a person that wears a mask. And my rationale behind that, and of course, unintentionally we do. It happens. But my big thing is like I'm going to be honest with almost as much as I possibly can in most scenarios. Because let's say right now, Zell, I'm uncomfortable with you. If I don't tell you that I'm uncomfortable with you, you're not going to know that I'm uncomfortable with you. And you're not going to know how to react with me. And the more honest I am, the more information you have to make both our experiences better. And I think that literally applies to everything in life.
I agree with you completely. By the way, I'm just
Oh, good.
Something about gag reflexes or something going on.
It's the bananas. I'm so sad you didn't have a banana.
Orange clad. All right. All right.
I love it.
All right.
Ba-dum.
All right. Time to get into the meat and potatoes of this, or the shepherd's
Hell yeah.
pie, as you mentioned earlier. Moving on to the gaming questions.
Mm.
I think we've heard enough about this entitled White Lady and lack of gag reflex. Org. Do you like video games, Siege?
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. I found a tape. Do you remember those like little Fisher Price? Like they had a microphone and you could record with them. And do you remember these?
I do. I do.
Okay. So I had one as a child, and my mom had been trying to get me to talk with her. And I found this in my maybe my 20s. And I could hear myself as like a 2-year-old. And even then, one of my first words, halfway through my mom trying to get me to sing like Old MacDonald or something, I went, "Mamo, mamo, 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 mamo." And then she replied, "No, you can't play Mario right now." So I'm an OG. Like 2 years old, and I was already obsessed with Mario. And I've been collecting for years, primarily Super Nintendo stuff, but I dabble in like literally everything.
It's just, mom. You know, for some reason that also makes me think about how we know what the kids say sometimes, even when like sometimes the baby won't even use words, right? And I'll just like know what he's talking about, or he'll say something like he'll be like "mom," and he'll be like, "No." Like your blanket's in the other room or whatever he said, but it's just like whatever's going on.
The like parent-child relationship in that regard is nuts. It always blows my mind. Always. I think it's so cool.
Are you good at video?
I don't think I'm bad. I think I'm like better than a lot of people. I think I'm above average. And I think it depends on the game too. So like at one point I was the 10th best Tetris marathon player in the world. This was back in like 2010, and at that point I was putting in like 3 hours ish of Tetris a day. It didn't last long, but uh I don't think I'd pick up Tetris again in that capacity. But yeah, I think it depends on the game. I think I'm above average. Oh, did I lose you?
I muted my mic. Yep,
Okay.
there you go. I have noticed on Twitch by watching a lot of people that there are a bunch of people who probably don't think they're very good that are better than the majority of people. Now, have I also realized that the majority of people are worse than I thought? That's a different question.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair. Yes.
So are you competitive in video games, Siege?
So yes and no. Yes and no. I tend to steer away from the competitive stuff. And I don't like feeling competitive, just given how empathetic I am as a person. I do get competitive, and I don't like that side of me. But I think it also depends on the game. Like Tetris versus, I get a little bit competitive. Mario Kart, I do not. And that's for good reason because I'm trash at Mario Kart, and a bunch of my chat knows it. But Street Fighter, I definitely get competitive with that. But besides that, I wouldn't say I'm very competitive at all.
Are you more of a multiplayer gamer or a single player gamer?
I'd say single player. I like I like games because in most scenarios, right, you can do something you wouldn't otherwise be able to do. That's why I tend to steer away from stuff like Call of Duty, man, if I wanted to shoot a gun, I'd go down to the range or join the army. Like, I'd rather play out something that can't happen. So Skyrim-ish kind of stuff. I didn't like Skyrim actually. That's a bad example. But I tend to steer towards, Final Fantasy, for example. Um, Kingdom Hearts, Zelda. So a lot of solo stuff. And Twitch has been great for that actually, because it gives me an opportunity to make a solo game multiplayer in a way. And that's been awesome. That's been really cool.
Very true, right?
Yeah, like
I had this thought with like Baba Is You.
mm,
I know you know the game, and
mhm.
you tell me that it's coding related, which I
Oh yeah.
didn't know. But once you said that, I was like, now I know why I like the game.
Yep.
Where you could take the game, and then you could do a stream. I mean,
Mm.
I'm lame, so I would consider it a community night. But instead of playing Baba Is You on stream, because I've already played it mostly, everybody who's there plays that and tries to solve the puzzle, and you just like wait and see if they get the right answers or not. Like I mean, obviously not people who've completed it before, but like use a mind meld. Take a single player game, make it multiplayer.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like I think we have that kind of same mentality there as well, because we both are completely fine with backseating. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, like it for me, it's like sitting on the couch with like like 20 people, and you're all
20 people on
contributing.
your couch. Who's
Not
sitting
on
on
my
whose
current
lap?
couch
That's a
because
great
it's a
debate.
love seat, and I'm in a tiny ass apartment, but like like it takes that you were growing up and your brother or whatever, they'd be playing like Final Fantasy Tactics or fucking like I don't know, Mario, and you take that scenario and then you just expand it. And I think that's one of the reasons why both of our communities are so good, is because that like couch feel is just bigger.
Yeah. I mean, I just I could like talk a whole bunch about my thoughts on backseating, spoilers, and how first off, if a game's 10 years old and you don't want spoilers,
Don't play it on
how can I
stream.
politely say go fuck yourself?
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, that too.
If it's an old game and you don't want spoilers, you're being a dick.
Mm.
I'm fine with backseat. I mean, I also to an extent get like people if you don't want it backseating, if you don't want spoilers, don't spoil it. But I actually think that like I started my streams and I was like, no backseating and spoilers allowed, and people were just like, nah, I'm not coy with this. And I'm just like, I don't understand why more people aren't over here being like, oh, I'll come spoil a game, because then I'll see people who don't want shit spoiled, and there'll be somebody who comes in there and they're just like, right around this corner is the final boss. Ah, you ruined the whole game for me.
See, I don't mind like helpful stuff. If somebody comes in, I think it's all about intention too. Like if somebody comes in and they're saying like, oh, if you try it this way, like I had that a lot with Doom. After after I decided to suffer through all that Doom on ultra violent, but people would come in like, you're not using your grenades. I'm like, yeah, no, I totally forgot about grenades. 100,000% forgot grenades were a thing. I am going to start using grenades now, and that's helpful. But I think when somebody comes in and they're like, this guy dies in like 20 minutes. Like, no, like I've never had that happen.
I think the difference I like to set is like full backseating and you're allowed to spoil, but story spoilers are where like that's clearly what people don't want you to do, right? Like nobody wants you to be like the character dies. Nobody wants you to be like this guy is really the good guy, right? Like nobody wants that. But I feel like that should be understood, right? So if you want to spoil like there's a secret on that ledge, fucking tell me the secret. Like I don't give a fuck. Like I was looking for it. You saw me looking for it. Some people though are the people who you see me looking for something and you go, you'll never find it.
Yeah. So like Doom was really bad for that, I found. But
Oh
like
god.
in that same, I haven't had, this speaks to how novel Twitch is to me as a whole, but I haven't had any problems on Twitch at all. Have never had to time anybody out. Have never had to ban somebody. Um, so I can't really say too much to like. I haven't even had anybody spoil anything. But that said, I think I've only been mostly playing stuff that I've already done. I haven't played anything brand. No, I did play the Final Fantasy VII remake brand new, but even then I didn't have any problems. So
I feel like if anybody beat that before you managed to stream it and came on to ruin it, then they're literally being an asshole. I think
but
that's
also like good on them because we did that fast. I think it was like
it's like
we were through
day
the
one. You're streaming it. Somebody comes in. I beat this morning or whatever. And I found your specific channel, and I'm here to ruin this situation.
you would have to go out of your way to do that too, you know? Like you would have to be looking for people to like ruin their day.
I mean, it's like I played Ender Lilies the whole way through, and I know some people. I've met people who've actually played it and know it, all on other way smaller channels. Nobody once came in and helped me. Not a single person was just like, "You literally can't get this right now." They were all just like, "Fuck it." But that's kind of what's cool too. Eventually, like sometimes you're playing a game and not everybody knows it though. Like with Doom, I don't think I had anybody who actually knew it here. Now with like
Interesting.
Hollow,
Oh.
Hollow Knight might not be a good example.
Hmm.
God of War is a good example. I had a lot of people who would play through the whole game. Bayonetta. Ooh, I've got help with Bayonetta.
Bayonetta looks really tough though.
It's
You know, I could never get into God of War, and I've seen so much flack for that.
I was just gonna start beeping out whatever bullshit you're about to say. I got a little beeper here. It sounds a little bit like beep. It's like he's gonna talk shit about. I had the hardest. And have you played Dark Souls?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I've played through several runs of Dark Souls, and I think I have a character at level 500 and something in the original game.
So, hear me out. I wasn't gonna give it a chance. I played it for stream reasons, and it feels so much like Dark Souls. Like it really does. It's amazing.
I didn't get that.
Did you play it
So
or no?
I played a good couple hours in. So it was given to me as a birthday present. I want to say 2 years ago, 3 years ago. Just because this person knew like this is not the normal thing I would buy, and I couldn't tell you specifically what about it I did not like. But for whatever reason, when I was like, okay, I got some spare time, I could be playing this game now. I didn't want to. No part of me was like, yeah, I can't wait to see what happens next. And that was weird for me.
I think this is the reason why I liked it so much, though. So I mentioned Dark Souls. You kind of, if I think for you, because the story like is a little bit like, I'm sure some people love the story, but it wasn't what pulled me in. I think it sounds like to me that if you approached it from what challenge come next, and you played it on hard instead of on normal, and it was what's the next boss, what's the next big bad, where's the secret bosses, and you did that, you might enjoy it more. I'm not saying I can't guarantee it. But if you skip past every cutscene and just fight every fucking fight, which is basically what I did because cutscenes happen and I've talked over them.
Fair. No, see, I can't even say that like the difficulty was a problem for me because like I'm not somebody who really enjoys things to be more difficult in general. Not to say I want to like cakewalk through it, but generally speaking, I didn't enjoy Dark Souls because it was difficult. And I don't even think necessarily that Dark Souls is difficult. I think that it just has a really steep learning curve. But no, I couldn't even tell you. Like, it wasn't the difficulty that wasn't clicking with me. It wasn't like the combat that was. I couldn't
know
even
the
tell
problem.
You.
I know the problem.
Felt good, and I still didn't want to do it.
I know the problem. I just really like that game, and I'm trying to convert you. That's the problem we're having here.
fair. No,
that's what the problem is. The problem is me. What is the first console you ever played on?
First console?
Yep.
Um, it's either going to be NES and I can't remember it, or Super Nintendo. I'm going to lean towards Super Nintendo. I was born in '92, so I was born right around when the Super Nintendo was starting to get big. Um, and I think my first game probably would have been Super Mario World, but don't quote me on that.
My brain.
Oh, Dark
What
Souls is amazing.
What is the first video game you ever fell in love with?
Oh, oh, that's a good one. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say Ocarina of Time. I know that's like, oh, no, we're good. I'm gonna say Ocarina of Time with no hesitation. Actually, take back the hesitation. Can we edit that out after?
Nope.
Um, fair, fair. Ocarina of Time for me came at a really cool moment in my life. For one, we didn't really have much 3D experiences to go off of then. And growing up, I played the crap out of A Link to the Past. Knew it inside and out. I can beat it in one sitting at this point. Like it's a problem. So Ocarina of Time comes along, and it was the first 3D experience that wasn't well that was both like immersive and not trash. Um, of course, there was great games before, like Mario 64, for example. Great game, great game. Wouldn't call it immersive, but there was a story to Ocarina of Time. There was a story. There was so much going on. The music was great. The environments for the time seemed like endless polygons. Man, how can any game get more cinematic than this? And yeah, no, I mean, I would walk around with a stick for like years after that, just chopping things, and I blame Nintendo entirely for my stick obsession as a young adult. I mean, child, both. We're gonna go with both.
I think that I can see this. I'm not a huge Zelda fan. I don't know if anybody knew this. Big shocker. But I'm trying. I'm fucking trying. But of the games I've played, I think the one that was the least painful, there's like a couple of gripes, was probably Ocarina of Time. But I've not played. I didn't play that on stream. I
See,
played that.
what? Sorry, go ahead.
I played it on the DS when I was on vacation one day.
You know what? That is my preferred version now too. I don't think that it necessarily holds up either. Like my favorite Zelda, easy is Majora's Mask. Like without any hesitation, I think it is a much better game. And there's a couple of reasons why I try to steer away from Ocarina of Time. Um, Ocarina of Time really cemented, for me personally anyway, there was a formula. They hit the nail on the head with that formula for Ocarina of Time. And they tried so many times since then to, I don't know, remake the success that they saw with Ocarina of Time. Now, the thing about that, right, is you'll notice this with video game companies. When they have a big success, they get weird. And Majora's Mask was weird. Like, it was intentionally not trying to get to be Ocarina of Time, the same way Breath of the Wild was not trying to be any of the previous Zelda games. But for the longest time, because Ocarina of Time was a success, Majora's Mask didn't sell well. Well, we're not going to do that again. So then you go back to Wind Waker, which is a great game, fantastic Zelda game, but it's following the same formula as Ocarina of Time. And then you have Twilight Princess, which is a knee-jerk reaction from nobody liked. Well, I wouldn't say nobody, but a lot of people didn't like the cartoony aesthetic of Wind Waker. So now we're going to try and recapture Ocarina of Time and make it a little bit grittier because that's what people want. And then people were like, well, now it's too gritty and like a lot of things are drawn out. And then we get Skyward Sword, which is kind of a balance of both, but it's still the same formula. And for me, the formula was getting very tired. And because I played through all of these as they came out, as I was growing up, the formula just doesn't work for me anymore. Not the same anyway. Majora's Mask was so different for me that I think it really holds up better.
From what I understand, and I've never played it,
Hmm.
I am told that Majora's Mask is harder too. Which I know some people would not like, but some of the stuff in it's a little bit more difficult than. Well, I was gonna use Link's Awakening as an example, even though Link's Awakening is Link's Awakening.
It is.
I would say though that I would take your opinion about Ocarina of Time's formula. Okay, and I realized that I think you were trying to distinguish between the 3Ds and the 2Ds here with the separation you made where you started at Ocarina. I would say that I think that all of the Zeldas from the first Zelda. Skip 2. 2 was their Majora's Mask of 2Ds, okay?
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree with that.
I think that the first one, Link to the Past, Link's Awakening, Ocarina, and all the other ones, I think they follow a very similar game formula. Like not necessarily. I mean, a lot of the ways they were put together with like the pieces, the 8, the 7. It was 7 in one, but like in like Link to the Past. But it's like, oh, you collect 8 things, or in Link's Awakening, you collect 8 flutes or whatever, and then in it's like 3 and 8 or whatever bullshit. Like, you know, they do their number thing. I think that they followed like a similar like graph, if you will. Like as far as like the feel of the game, the difficulty, like how you feel while you're playing it. And it like starts off like you start off super weak in most of them. I mean, even if you do get stronger quicker, it doesn't matter. It's not the point. You start off super weak, and then you get to a point where it's like, okay, manageable. And then you get to a point where you're like, oh, you're really feeling it, right? And then they drop you off a motherfucking cliff, and you get 2-shot by everything. And then towards the end, by the end, for some reason, though, the final boss is like, oh, well, I couldn't beat 2 doors ago. Like, I beat Ganon in 1 try, but 2 rooms ago in the same dungeon, it was literally an impassable room that you couldn't not get hit in.
Oh yeah. Now, for me personally, I love the puzzly aspect. Like that just vibes with my brain so hard that it never has been an issue for me. With that said, I don't think the formula was even remotely figured out in the first Zelda. With the item, like the way items worked and stuff, I think that they had an idea for a formula and it was not executed well at all. I think that A Link to the Past, we could argue it's a very, very similar formula. But I think, like, for one, in the first Zelda, you didn't need all the items. In, like, everyone's sense there, like, the formula is the same. You go into the dungeon.
Yeah.
You find the weapon or item that you find in the dungeon. You somehow use that to kill the boss. That's it. That's every single Zelda dungeon there. Sorry for the spoilers, guys. But
No,
that wasn't the case in the
my life
first
is
Zelda.
ruined.
I know, I just ruined everything. How could I?
That wasn't the case in the third one. There were only a couple dungeons like that in the first one. Where, like...
exactly.
Wherever you get the ladder dungeon, dungeon 4, 5, or 3, whatever it is, that was the one where, in order to get to the boss, you needed that.
Yep. And, like, I don't think that... It seemed like half an idea to me. And there's nothing wrong with that. Like, it was a good half an idea, and it was early ideas of what an adventure game could be. So I think it's like the Beatles. Like, I don't like the Beatles. I have mad respect for the Beatles. They did a lot for the music that I still listen to today.
I can't even... I swear to God. I swear to God I've said this. I swear to God. I said that Zelda is the Beatles of video games. I've said this before. I've literally said this before. It was my quote. This being said,
I'm just in your brain.
Everybody insists that they're good, and they're way overrated. And if you ask somebody why they're good, they can't tell you. Like if I ask somebody why the Beatles are good, they'll be like, they're the Beatles. If I ask somebody why Zelda's good, it's like, it's fucking Zelda. 9 out of 10 people. Yeah, once you press for an answer, you might be able to get one, but the first instinct is like, it's Zelda, dude. Okay, good for you.
He says while wearing a Zelda shirt. Chat, get at him.
This was my Breath of the Wild reveal shirt. I bought it to reveal I was going to play the game, and then decided to wear it because I like video game shirts. I either wear a ghost shirt or a video game shirt. I don't know if anybody noticed what I wear on my streams. It's either a video game shirt or a ghost shirt. I mean, I can get the ghost shirt. That just doesn't seem podcast acceptable, but I can get it.
Man, I would have vibed if you wore a ghost shirt. I could have been one of your mindless drones or something. Is that what he calls them? No.
Mindless drones. Stellates?
Well, what is it he calls the other members of the band?
Of the band?
Yeah, they're like he calls them like mindless thralls or something.
Oh, you're talking. It's a Beatles reference.
No, the ghost. You said ghost, right?
I didn't say ghost.
I thought you said a ghost shirt, and then I was like, oh, okay, never mind.
Oh, my. Oh, you went with a band. I like Ghost, the band. I was so confused. But the Ghost had the whole theme revolved around them that you could talk about for a while with their whole, like, not showing their face thing and such.
Yeah.
I meant my shirt that's works with the green screen that makes me look like a ghost.
I know what you're talking about now. Okay, no, we're on the same page. We're on the same page. Okay. Now we're back to like normality. Okay. Sick band though.
What is your favorite video game of all time, Siege?
See, that's the worst question you can ask any gamer ever because it's going to change like weekly, I swear to God.
What was it last week?
Fuck. Last week it probably would have been a Metroid game. I was really hyped about Metroid Dread. This week, I'm going to say it's Final Fantasy VII because I've been thinking about the remake a lot and I want to get back to it. Is it a good game? No, but Final Fantasy VII is just... It's got such a good place in my heart. The same thing with the Majora's Mask. On another day, I can talk to you to death about Majora's Mask. And that's up there as well. Final Fantasy XIV... 11 for a period of time, but I think Hollow Knight would be another great one on the list. I think that's definitely a game that everybody has to play. But I think right now I'm going to say Final Fantasy VII. Now, is it the best game out there? No. And if you handed it to me, I'd give it like a 6 out of 10 if I did not have the prior nostalgia. But for one, it came at a great time in my life. Came at a great time in my life where that kind of story could hit as hard as it did. The amount of like mental health they mixed in there a bit with like these big themes of life. I'd never really experienced anything like it, right? Now, I mean, the original Final Fantasies that came before it were good, but I don't think I was old enough to really understand what was going on as much. So, yeah, Final Fantasy VII, final answer.
What game are you hooked on now?
Hooked on? Oh God. I'm gonna have we're mashing through Donkey Kong Country 2. But right now, what I'm thinking about is Animal Crossing. Which was weird. Because that stream came out of me being lazy and now I want to pick it back up again. But yeah, Donkey Kong Country 2 is one we've been trying to get through for a while. I think that was some 2D platforming at its best. But I don't think too many games have came close to that, and it's hard. It's real hard. And I think I'm good at 2D platformers. But oh, Banjo-Kazooie! How did I forget Banjo-Kazooie? Banjo-Kazooie is up there on my favorite list too.
What makes a game fun or unfun to you?
Depends on the genre. Depends on the genre. If we're going any sort of platformer, 3D or 2D, I think that movement is the biggest thing. And I think you can definitely agree with this. Movement in Hollow Knight felt so good. So good. And I think that's one of the reasons why Hollow Knight felt as good as it did. If we're going with like an RPG, Uh, I mean, story, and like, make sure that I don't get bored in combat. Like, you don't need to do much. It doesn't need to be like top tier, just not boring. If we're talking about like an adventure game, uh, make the pacing feel better. Pacing is a huge important thing for stuff like Uncharted. Uh, what else is a good example? Uncharted. I was talking to Tomb Raider. Tomb Raider is another great example, even though they're like the same game with a different skin. Um, The Last of Us. I could go on forever, but so many things. So many things.
You know what that brought to light for me in my head? So I'm the completionist. Oh, sorry. We should start with this. Are you a completionist, or are you more of a quickie kind of guy?
I think if I were a quickie kind of guy, I would get in trouble.
You're a
So no,
completionist.
I'm definitely a completionist.
Um. So when I play a game and there's anything to find, sometimes on stream I'm almost excessively intentionally try not to do this. Bayonet is a good example where I literally like I'm told that I found a guide to find all the secret little fights, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna find all the fights, and if I don't find other stuff, well, like I feel the need to kick every trash can. I feel the need to hit every pot, right? For some games, for me, if you want me to be interested in the story and to have a good pace, you need to make enough content to be good. Like, I want to say like 20 to 30 hours, minimum. But also, don't give me all this other shit I can do. Just make the game about like the fighting and the story. Like I'm ready for that game where there's nothing. There's no chests you need to get. There's no upgrades you need to get. Like, and I realize that a lot of people like that, but I'm ready for the game that's just like, here it is. This is a straight story. I mean, I would prefer it with grittier mechanics, like, but that's just me because I like mechanic heavy games anymore. I feel like I shine like a diamond, right? Like a
So
diamond.
you do shine like a diamond. Don't kid yourself. Um, so that brings up 2 points for me. First off, there is a lot of talk that the idea in general that we still need levels in any sort of RPG is dated. I'm inclined to agree. Like grinding in general, I think. I mean, yeah, it kind of has a place, but Monster Hunter is a great example of how you can implement grinding without saying like, "Oh, you're level 16 and not 17, so you have to do half the damage to this boss, and because you do half the damage, you're going to think you have to grind for another like 6 hours before you can attempt it again." Like, no, scrap that, get it out of here. And I think that there's definitely some good alternatives out there, and it's an interesting talking point at the very least.
Get rid of it.
My second point. Oh my gosh, what is this? Is that a bear?
That was my beard.
Oh, fair.
I was throwing it. I'm on
You're on TV now.
Oh.
Exactly. What was my second point? Shit. I agree with you. I agree with you. I think that it's. I find it really difficult for me myself when I started Elder Scrolls Online, for example. I played the beta. I was super excited, and then they sit you down in this world, and they're like, "By the way, here's the map. There's 16,000 side quests in your immediate vicinity." I don't want it. I don't want it. You know what? They've put so much effort into this like story of each individual side quest, and that's not how I'm going to end up playing it. I'm just going to go to whatever's nearest, so I'm not walking around for 6 hours.
So,
And sorry, go ahead.
no, you're good. No, continue.
Oh, sorry.
Walk around for 6 hours.
Yeah. So you there's no sense of like when you have all this dialogue, I'm not following any of it. And that much distraction from like the core idea of the gameplay, I think really detracts from it.
No, I
I
think
think
you're
it
right.
really takes away.
Because I think that sometimes so much happens in between of the side quests and stuff that you lose the story. Like, but
Yeah.
for me,
Or like
and it's like a disease, I have to do the side quests. Which
and that's why I literally had to put ESO down.
I mean, I could go for a game that has a couple side quests that aren't they're not dialogue heavy. Excuse me, give me the side quest that's just fighting a big boss, so that nothing special happens other than fighting the boss, right? And then go back to the story, and then two chapters later, whatever they consider it, then give me another side quest to fight another big boss. Once again, without the bullshit sideline dialogue, so that I don't like forget, because even like it takes me so much longer to play through a game now than when I was younger.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like games have gotten stupid complex,
especially with streaming and stuff. Like streaming is great because you can share the game with everybody and you can do so many other things. But at the same time, it also forces you at a lot of times to just you have to decide an arbitrary time to put it down because then real life comes, and or because it's time for the stream over, or like, and then it's like, okay, so sometimes like Link to the Past, this happened with me. I don't know if it's happened to you yet. I'm sure it'll eventually happen. Or hopefully it actually doesn't ever happen. I played the game, and then I played it the next day. And then a week later, on a Sunday, I played it once. Monday, I had off. A week later, I had Sunday off. I played it on Monday. A week later, I couldn't play it till Tuesday, and now I'm just like... Okay, now I'm just out of the game. I put it down. I've had a week in between everything. The princesses were saying stuff. I just stopped reading them. I was just like, we're going to finish the dungeons and finish the game. I hope I'm a better boy when it comes to Ocarina of Time. That was it. I mean, like...
Yeah. Yeah, no, I definitely get that. So, I dedicate days to specific like types of games. So I will go a week between playing a Final Fantasy game because I only do that on Fridays, or like a week between playing Mario games because I only do that on Mondays. Which Mario is Mario. Who cares? It's been fine for me. It's definitely a different way to experience the game, though. Like it feels very different.
I think for Mario, because Mario is Mario, it's fine. I think even to an extent, Zelda was okay. Not the best. It was literally just because it was 1 week and like literally over a week a lot of times. For RPGs though, I think that's where you really start getting in there. You know, like okay, well, story, I lost it. Whatever. Just. I couldn't play. This is why I don't play them anymore. This is why literally the reason I don't play RPGs anymore is because I can't just sit there for 2 weeks and play it. It doesn't matter whether I'm streaming. It doesn't matter whether I'm at home. There is no opportunity for me to just sit straight there and play through the whole RPG.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense too because your family's definitely a lot bigger than mine right now. But I find it really easy in big long games like RPGs as well. Or Zelda, I can imagine being really close relative to that. Where if you don't feel the drive and you don't stay dedicated to like, yeah, we're going to keep progressing, you lose your place and you just do not want to pick it back up. Like there's no part of you wants to pick back up Tales of Symphonia after you've put in 16 hours and dropped it for like a month. You have no idea where you are. You have no idea where the story is, what you're supposed to do next. And there's so many levels of complication to that I just like, I'll have that done and I'll be like, nah, if I'm going to play it, I'm going to restart it. And then I have to replay that 16 hours. And it's less interesting the second time through because I already know what's going to happen. So it's a bad combo.
Yeah, unfortunately. Enough of this gamer talk. We will move on to our streaming question, Siege.
What's that?
For anybody who doesn't know, the part I'm going to do sometimes, but not always. How I met Siege. How I met Siegemunde. So, there once was a person named Paramixef. And Siege was in one of her streams on the story. Okay. Sorry.
You're good, man.
I met you. I mean, that's actually you. There's some times where there's a longer story. Like, I could be like, so I met Zeph through Neff, actually. And I tried to help get Zeph affiliated forever ago, and she got affiliated. Then she quit streaming forever. Then she came back, and I was a little bit. Whenever somebody quits, I like nothing against any single person or any multiple people. And whenever somebody puts streaming down for 3 months, when they come back, I just wait and see if
Are they going to do it again?
Are you back, or are you? Because a lot of people I've learned they'll come back, and then like you'll spend your time there, and you'll do the whole support thing, and then they'll be gone 2 weeks later, and I'll just be like, okay, thanks for the tease.
Yeah, no, that definitely. I definitely get that. See, I haven't had to experience that, but I don't really make an effort to network. I don't really do that. I will go and sit in your stream if I like your stream, and I have to like what you're doing, and it doesn't. I'm not even going to ever watch somebody for the game. Like 9 times out of 10, I think Steve is in chat here. So Steve, for example, is running. Well, he was a speedrunner, still is, I guess, for The Little Mermaid on NES. And I came into a stream by fluke. I think I got like a random raid, and I followed through with that. I stick around for the person, and if that person is not entertaining me or expressing opinions that I would agree with, or I don't know, some other third thing. But if there's something about them that is not keeping me engaged, I'm out. I'm out. I'm already gone. I won't even sit in the chat. And I think that's the worst thing for me. So if I did see somebody disappear, and I didn't see them come back, I don't think it would be in my. I think I would probably close the door on them if that makes any sense. I think I would just kind of be like, okay, well, you know what? As much as I liked this person and I liked supporting them, if they were gone for a couple months at a time, because of course everybody has, life happens.
Well, no,
but
I've done it. I've done
time,
it. I've done it before. Not even like in a dickheaded way, but it's like
Mm.
because like the moment, and it's like a whole big like. Obviously, like I could be somewhere else in supporting somebody else, and I completely agree. I won't go to people's streams if I don't like them. Like I won't like, especially anymore. Like I used to not be picky at all because I'd be at work, so there was no like activity from me. Now I'm just like, I need something to latch onto, where I'm gonna shoot myself in the head.
Yeah, I think for me it's like a self-preservation thing more than anything. Like I wouldn't want to pour my like energy and like love and affection and empathy into somebody, not that I want it back, that it's not like a reciprocal thing for me, but I wouldn't want to become attached to a person just to see them disappear all the time.
Yeah, and then they come back and then they disappear. That's just I mean, it's a Twitch thing that definitely happens. I've had people who come back and then sometimes like I don't know. Anyway, not important. I could probably talk about this forever. It's happened so many times. I just feel like I gave her a little bit of time, and I know she was still doing things. And then then I started going into her streams a lot more often and stuff because I was like, oh, so she's actually going to be streaming. I mean, also I don't think people appreciate that weird DM. Yo, so you streaming for real this time?
Yeah.
Siege leaves for a month and he comes back and I'm like, so are you back for good or are you gonna quit again? Because I ain't gonna hang around if you're not.
Yeah, no, I'd never want to be that guy. And I don't think I'd ever be that guy, but like the other thing, like, have you ever thought though about how fluky it is that we met in general?
It's that's Twitch, right?
That is Twitch. Yeah.
It is. I mean, it's hard. I think it's really hard to find people that you enjoy and want to support, and it lines up. I know people. I know streamers that I like, and I think like so. Like Matt's a decent example that a lot of people here know Matt by now. So the origin story of Matt is I was searching Twitch when I first started staying at home in the day for somebody to hang out with, somebody streamed to be in, because I didn't have anybody on at that time. And I found a stream. He was playing Horizon Zero Dawn, and I was like, oh, I have no idea why I found the stream, and turns out he had been playing Cave Story. And I searched Cave Story. And this must have been what happened too, because I don't watch Horizon Zero Dawn. I know nobody in his community. It literally must have been, I searched Cave Story. He was the only streamer within 100 light years that had played Cave Story. And, because I always check the games for viewership and whatever. So then I went into his chat, hung out, and we talked about Metroidvanias and stuff, because, what games we were talking about. He was like, have you played Horizon Zero Dawn? I'm like, I have no idea. You were just recommended. He's like, why? I'm like, I don't know. He's like, well, I played Cave Story like a day ago. I'm like, there you go. But he also streams exactly what I do, right? Very different from the person who streams after me or before me or at night when I'm definitely not streaming anymore. So it can be hard sometimes, even if you do like a person. Like, if you were streaming at the same time, it's not going to line up, right?
Oh, yeah.
Unless
absolutely.
you do like a co-stream. I need to start doing some of those, but it's really hard to get It Takes Two partner at 12:30 in the damn afternoon. Just saying.
Yeah, no, like I definitely get that, and I think there's a real stress in trying to make sure you're like there and present in like many people's streams. So like as far as networking is concerned, I try not to. Just because, well, for a couple of reasons. For one, I don't want to stress myself out because the moment I'm like, I want to be in your stream, and I want to be in Zeph's stream, and I want to be in Neff's stream, and I want to be in Steve's stream, and I want to be present in all these locations. I don't even think you guys stream at the same times, but and these are all people I enjoy and people I look up to in terms of like helping to grow my audience and whatnot. Not that that's a big really concern for me, but uh, you will drive yourself insane trying to make sure you're reciprocating the like like what is the word, like the effort that you've seen people put into you to begin with. So it's really you can't be everywhere is one thing that I've learned really early on, and that's one of the big things for me. That is like
you cheated. You say you don't try putting any.
I cheated.
Yeah, you cheated. You say you don't put any effort into networking, but you don't have to, because you met somebody. I don't know. I think Zeph was one of the second people you followed on stream, right?
Yep.
This is the whole story. And then you met Zeph, and through Zeph you met Neff and me, and then Cyphers, and then through Cyphers somehow I'm sure is how you landed on Steve because he does retro stuff, or at least his community.
I think I met you directly through Zeph, though.
No, yeah, me directly through Zeph.
Yeah, because I remember what happened there, and for those that don't know, what happened was I had streamed for one day, and I immediately hopped on Twitch and just went, okay, stream. There was no like, hey, I should lurk around and find out what I'm doing. I just went like, no, I'm gonna stream, and I did it one day, and I by fluke, and I'd never talked to anyone's stream before either. By fluke, I flopped into Zeph's stream, and she was playing the end of Majora's Mask, where you the go-on mini dungeon thing, where you have to roll on like a million super narrow platforms, and she was trying to deflect off the chests in odd ways, and I was like, I swear to God, I'm not a troll. Just go at them directly on in the center between the chests, and you will deflect, and you don't have to do anything. Just hold forward, and from there, from that one weird ass interaction, I think I met you because I think you were briefly in that stream, and I think we raided you another time, and I came over from that.
She raided me one time when I was playing Zelda, when I was playing it later. I remember because I was like, she ended early. But yeah, I remember that stream just because that's the only. I only remember because of the situation, because the Gorgons and the rolling, and I only remember them because they look the same as in Ocarina.
Oh yeah, no, and that was like a stupid difficult. Like I still will tell people it's incredibly. It's the hardest part of Majora's Mask. Easy.
Damn. We are on a more important question now. I guess I could talk about
apparently
anything forever. Yeah. Ugh. Oof. Tangent. That's actually the whole point, by the way, is I have base questions and I go off and then skip them. I skip a bunch of questions. Do you guys know this? I skip a bunch of questions on the podcast. There's like not that many, but I skip some. and then I come up with other
Fair.
questions, and then I just throw a Hail Mary and hope it all turns out right.
That
How
sounds
long
like
have you?
every stream.
This is literally the first question of stream. Wait, what did I do? We did this with the gaming too. I asked you one question, asked you if you were good at games, and we talked about that for 10 minutes before I asked another question that was on the list.
I got nowhere to be.
How long have you been streaming, Siege?
It will be 2 months on the 17th.
Oh fuck.
Oh
Only 2
yeah.
months. Wow, I thought it was...
Yep.
Fair. Why did you choose your name?
Okay. So this is an interesting one. Only it's not. So I always went between two like usernames. My first username is usually Arc Enigma. That's a combination of Arc and Terranigma. Arc is the main character of Terranigma. It's a Super Nintendo game that never came out in North America. Would highly recommend it, by the way. Amazing game. Or my second name was Siegemunde. So Siegemunde is the one I ended up sticking with for Twitch and everything now. It is the best lance you can get in Fire Emblem Sacred Stones for the main character, the male main character, because there is different stuff for the female main character. It is the best weapon you can get for the male main character. And then I added in a bunch of E's because it sounded more. Because it's Siege then, it's not Sieg. Because originally it's Siegemunde, but
Just reminds me of
Sitting World.
I mean similar entry character from Soul Calibur.
Oh yeah, Siegfried.
Yeah, he has a I think he has a lance. It's been so long since I played Soul Calibur. I should just
He has a giant sword.
giant sword.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
I vibe with the FBC.
thinking about something else then.
You're good. You're good.
What got you into streaming?
Oh God. So there was a number of things. For one, I think I am an entertainer-ish at heart. I did my first degree in performance, so I mean I had to have something in there. I was for a good few years a stage actor, but I hated going to auditions and getting turned down. That was like a new level of hell for me. And going back and forth from where I am and or was to Toronto was like an hour and a half commute, and it was not fun. It was not fun at all. So I kind of shelved that, and plus, like, people don't make money in acting. I was making like maybe $500 a week. Um, but so there was this piece of me that always wanted to entertain, and more than that, I was spending all my time because I don't watch much TV. I was spending a lot of my time on YouTube, and I got into broadcasters like JonTron, who I don't really like anymore, especially because his political opinions are a little on the not so great side. Uh, Game Grumps, like so many of these like broadcasters that are fantastic, and this was the first kind of circumstance where I was able to really embrace my nerdy culture, because when I was growing up, because I'm an old guy, when I was growing up, being nerdy was not cool. Like, you did not, if I talked as much as I wanted to talk about video games, nobody would want to talk to me. And all of a sudden, I was in this circumstance where I could talk about games. And did we lose you?
No. Oh no. Not again. Can you hear me?
Yep, we're just down to 160p. Okay.
OBS.
We're good. We're
Way
back
further
up.
out there, OBS.
Except I'm gone. Oh,
No, you're
no,
back.
am I back?
You
Okay.
disappeared, then you came back, and you said, "Did we lose you?" And my KBS hit zero.
Teleport. Skinny guy. Where was I?
Say a prayer to the streaming gods that this ends up in one video, not two.
But I always, I reached a point where I knew I wanted to be on camera, and I had all this nerdy knowledge and nerdy things that I wanted to just talk about. and that's like that was my best way in. So I had built up over, working for years at a computer shop. You end up with parts and you end up building up your parts. And now I have a computer all of a sudden that is capable of doing the things I wanted to do. And then on top of that, I've slowly been amassing like streaming parts. Like this boom arm I've had, it's the Rode boom arm. And I've had that for like 3 years. That's how long this has been slowly going to be a thing. And then I got laid off. And getting laid off, you have a lot of free time. And why not start streaming when you have literally nothing else to do?
It is very much a mix of exactly how I started streaming and not at all. So I started streaming because I saw some creators on YouTube, and it was during the pandemic when I wasn't working very much, and I was like, oh, this is a great idea. So I've always had, like, if I had a dream job, like if you asked me what my dream job was, my dream job would be playing video games and making money, or doing something video game related and making money, right? I was like, oh, this is my chance. I'm clearly too old and my arm hurts too much sometimes to be a professional gamer. I'm not gonna do coding and stuff, so I started streaming. But the reason I didn't amass parts, I actually started off, way forever ago. There's some clips.
Did we drop?
Oh God, Jesus Christ, OBS. No, can
I think
you hear
Discord
me?
might have dropped. Poop.
I can hear you. What is going on?
Oh, we're back. We're back.
What is going on?
I think we're back.
I heard you the whole time.
Okay.
Why are you doing this, OBS? Why are you doing this? Fuck you. Oh man, it's the weather. I don't know. It just keeps. I've never had it just do that because I can hear you every time. By the way, you've never dropped the call, not a single time. Like every time you go, "Are you gone?" Every time
it's
you go,
OBS or Twitch.
Every time you go, "Are you gone?" I can still hear you. But no, but I didn't amass parts. I just randomly decided to do it. I started in a very uncomfortable situation actually, playing on a TV and looking at my laptop that was like almost on the ground. And then I got a camera, a shitty one. And my buddy lent me a microphone. And actually the only reason I have all my fancy shit now, all the fancy shit, is because somebody came in randomly and dropped like $800.
Yo, really? That's awesome.
No, for real. Like they came in, it was about January, and they dumped like 300 subs on the channel. And I was like, well, I'm taking all of. There's actually an emote. There's an emote in the person's name, Nathan Ray Harmon. He dropped all the money. So I made an emote in his name, and got all this stuff. I literally was just like, this is all going to the stuff.
That's awesome. And that's like a great way to like show some respect.
The only reason why I have the stuff. And then also my wife bought me a gaming chair, which was wonderful, and a desk. And the gaming chair totally broke today, and I'm super not happy.
I feel that.
Like
it's so difficult to get a good gaming chair. Like I had a DX Racer, and I swear to God, I spent like $600 on it, and I got Cass an AK Racing, and my DX Racer, the upholstery was toast in like 3 years, and hers is still fine.
I've had it for like a year, and the welding on the bottom came apart where the hydraulics are. So it's just.
Oh yeah.
I mean, First off, I don't weld. Second off, now the hydraulics are broken. So.
That's a bad combo.
Do you enjoy streaming, Paige?
I really do. And not for the reasons that I thought I would. Like, when I talk to people about it, it's always you get the kind of same thing. It's like, oh, you get to make money and play games, and the amount of money you make is not proportional to the amount of effort you put in. So like, if it were about money, then I would just do another thing, right? I really enjoy it because I think I wouldn't want to speak for anybody here, but I feel like I've established a really, really wonderful, safe place. And the community, and a lot of our community overlaps our communities. They're wonderful. like the other day, I had somebody come into the stream and they just wanted to talk about how a loved one died, like just the other day, and that was weird. That was not bad weird, not bad weird, very good. Not that they're okay. I want to get to the point here. Um, I always wanted my space to be a safe space, but for them to be comfortable enough to go like, I am in distress, I want to talk about stuff, and to go to my stream, and I don't doubt that they probably talk to other friends or anything, but that was a different kind of like, holy crap for me, because it's like you always want to nurture that kind of space where somebody can do that, but for it to happen was really good. So I do like streaming. I really do. And I don't even like it for the games. I like hanging out and talking about nerdy stuff and being there for a bunch of people, and it's fantastic. Yeah, I love it. And
So
no,
the
you're not supposed to feel safe around me. The
so
banana, oh, if you're a banana, don't.
one thing I will say is not you, obviously not something. This doesn't have to do. I've gone to other streams and I've seen, like, I've started reading the chat rules finally because I always skip them. But I realized that I can't ever find people's. That's why they're in my about underneath, is because I can't find people's chat rules afterwards because I skipped them.
Yeah.
And I've been seeing more people say like, this is like, be positive, don't be negative, and I'm like, it's always the moment where I'm just like, oh, because like in a situation like if somebody was feeling down, I mean I don't know how they handle that situation, but it just makes me think of those situations where if somebody's not having a good day and they want to share, and you're just like, you either be a positive person here or you get the fuck out.
See, I don't mind a bit of trolling, but like there's trolling for like I have malicious intent, and then there's trolling for like nobody will be harmed if I tell you that the sky is purple today or something stupid. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah,
Like
no,
that's a bad
I'm
example.
not talking about trolls though. I'm talking about like people's chat rules will say, keep it positive. Like basically, like some of them have been very specific.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're all here to have a good time. Don't bring it down or something like that. Which just makes me think of situations like if somebody had something bad happen, they wanted to share, and they're just like, oh well, your chat rules say we're here to have a good
Can't talk about it
time.
here.
Fuck about your
Nope.
feelings.
We're going to pretend that life is all cherries and rainbows, and none
Oh,
of that exists.
listen,
No.
it's Fruit Loop flavored unicorn shit in the shape of a rainbow. That's what it is. That's all life is. For some reason, that just made me think of that. And I mean, obviously, your stream isn't like that. My stream isn't like that. A lot of streams I get, almost all the streams I go to aren't like that. I should say, actually.
And you know what? Like, I was even thinking, like, I go into some streams and they'll say, like, don't get political. I mean, I have no problem with getting political. But of course, there's a limit to things, right? Because, like, you know, I would, from what I've seen about you, you were definitely a humanitarian oriented person as well. But I haven't had to deal with any sort of racism, any sort of like ism. But um, the opportunity to convert somebody is always there too. And I think that that is just fantastic as well.
So, do you see streams as just for fun? Maybe a job one day, mixed bag situation. What is your standpoint?
I mean, mixed bag, mixed bag. It would be very difficult, I think, to get to a point where I could say, "Hey, I'm going to make more money here." Not even more money. I'm going to make a livable wage here. I should probably drop the other things I have going
Yeah.
on. And I am having fun doing it. And I don't think if I did it full time, it would not feel like a job, which is fine. Which is fine. But my main thing about streaming, like my raison d'etre, you know, like my the reason I stream in general is literally just to talk about nerdy shit. Like my And that's one of the reasons why I look forward to it all the time as well, is because I can go there and we can talk about computer parts. We can talk about um, what the best platformer in the 64-bit era was. And if the opportunity came up, you better fucking believe I would take that. I would like ride that train till it hurt. But do I see that happening? Probably not. And not for lack of like wanting it to happen. Like that would be lovely, but I don't think it would happen. And that's fine.
I think there's definitely a like hard work X, luck X, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark, and you can add percentages if you want. That happens as far as streams go.
And the work hurts. The work hurts.
Yeah, it does. So like you were saying, you wouldn't see it as a job. If I was streaming full time, I would completely take it as a job. But the way I would look at it was the stream shit, not the chatting and stuff, not the games, all the shit like the overlays, the setup, everything.
Yep.
All that would be the ends to the mean, and the mean would be doing something I actually enjoy. So like all the work aspects of it to do just this. I mean, I nowhere as close to a living wage. I would have to make at least 5 or 6 times, 7 times, 7 or 8 times as much as I do.
Yeah, that's about me.
you like the math here. Actually, I think the math actually works out to be because I don't stream for. It's not like I stream full time, right? So I think that it works out to be like I'd have to make a lot more money than I do. Like at least 30 to 35 times as much money before it's like a living. Like this is instead of a job.
Yeah. And like, there's so much more to it than just streaming, right? Like a lot of people just see like, oh, you just sit in front of people and play video games and that's it. And it's
where
like,
do you
no.
find the fucking people? Like that's the funniest thing about streaming. If you ask me, is that people are like, well, you're cool, you're playing video games. It's like, no, like listen, like growing a stream to any size, whether it be 5, 10, 15, 20. We'll skip to 50 now, and then further on, go. That the amount of like other stuff and other bullshit that goes into with it, and a lot of it out of your control, is very, very. You don't get out what you put in.
No. I would definitely agree with that. And like, for example, like, so I think within the first week, I had a couple streams and I made affiliate, and I'm like, okay, cool. I can't stop there though, right? So where do you go from there? Well, you learn how to edit. So like in a weekend, because I don't stream on Saturdays or Sundays. In a weekend, I try to teach myself After Effects, Premiere Pro. I tried to familiarize myself with all the stuff I was seeing on Twitch, because keep in mind, like I literally just dove in. Like there was no like, hey, how do I host people? It was literally just like stream. So on a whim, I was like, okay, I'm going to teach myself Adobe After Effects. I'm going to teach myself like Lightroom and all of that. Like for all my emotes I've made myself. My logo, I made that in Sprite. No, did I make it? Yes, I made it in Sprite. I taught myself Sprite. And people don't see that. People don't see the amount of learning and work and trial and error that you do behind the scenes either. And I think that like accounts for like, oh God, I probably put in like a full-time job's worth of work for that as well.
I mean, also sometimes when you're like tired or having an off stream, it's just like, well, I had like a real life day, and my brain's a little mush, and I did not get to I actually have a community reward that I forgot to hit start on, and then a week later I forgot again, and then I'd come up with another idea, and I just said fuck it and did a different one. I still have the other one ready to start. I still have the one ready to start, but it's just like there's so much going on.
Oh God, yeah. And then like trying to manage your own like everything that you have planned as well as
I mean,
like one person isn't enough. Props to Caspiana, because Caspiana was wonderful at being like, you didn't post on Twitter today, and I'll be like, I didn't.
I don't post on Twitter. I'm
I
bad
don't
at
like
it.
Twitter. I don't like Twitter, but I see its purpose.
What is the biggest you could see yourself on Twitch? What is the biggest you would?
What is the biggest I would want to be? So, um, I'm coming for the chats. I'm coming to hang out and to talk about things and to be there for somebody if they have a loved one that dies. And I think if that opportunity was gone, I think that Twitch would no longer be fun for me. So with that said, I think that I could have like a million people in my stream, and that's fine if that is slow enough that I can maintain and make sure I'm talking and engaging with everyone. Because that's the big thing with me. I want and I genuinely feel engaged with like everybody who comes into my stream. I try and have a conversation with everyone. I try and like give them, treat them like a person, treat them like a friend because they are friends. Like I treat them like the friend who just walked in the door because that's what they are to me. And I think that if I lost that, I'd lose what I wanted streaming to be for me in general, and that's having a voice, having a voice with individual people.
I think that's a lot of people to an extent that I've heard. You want to be a
Yeah.
lot of us want to be big enough that we can still handle chat and talk to everybody.
Yep.
Still make money while doing this, but not too big to where it's like your chat is all fucking like super spammy, fucking like go 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 go. Like, oh,
Like,
how do
there's
I?
nothing personal about that for me.
What
I might as well
what
be
did he
watching a
say? Did
YouTube
he
video.
say DG 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 GD? He switched to the GD. What happened?
I think I saw an F in there.
Yeah. That's many of us. I would say.
Yeah, and I think that that's definitely the consensus I was getting from watching this, wherever I can because I do stream on Fridays as well.
Why it's on YouTube. Plug
Oh
plug
heck yeah!
plug plug plug. um. So, what is the best part about streaming to you then?
The best part about streaming is I consider myself a pretty introverted person, and this has been a way for me to socialize without exhausting myself. And that in itself is the weirdest, coolest, best thing. Um, because I do like people. I really enjoy people, but there comes a point where like when I come home from a day of work, I don't want to people. I'm done peopling, but popping on stream, chatting with you, Zeph, Umoctus, Hig Nation, doesn't matter. Like it's not the same. It's not as exhausting, and I think that the sense of community that we have all built in our channels, the sense of like um, safeness. Like if I dropped the bomb in your chat and was like, "Yo, Maddie just got hit." Sorry, Caspiana just got hit by a car. There would be people that would be genuinely concerned, and having that kind of community is it's fantastic. Like you can't manufacture that. That's not something you can walk in and have an intention of doing. It just kind of happens, and I feel really lucky. And I think that's my favorite part about streaming.
I disagree. I think that you can just be like Macklemore and be like, walk into the club and be like, "Yo, what's up? I got a big,"
Big pack.
and that'd be your plan to begin with. Obviously not. Um, what is the worst part about streaming to you?
um. Hmm. It's one of two things. I kind of. Am I okay to get a little bit personal here?
No, no. Clearly, that's not the point in this whole thing.
Okay. Okay. So, as many of you know, Caspiana, my girlfriend, recently started streaming on here. And having spent so many years and so much time and dedicating myself to all these different programs and learning everything, uh, she didn't have to do that. And she still saw so much success. Now, I want to be clear, this wasn't a sense of jealousy. I didn't look at that and go like, oh, they should be in my channel. No, there was none of that. There was a sense of, I want to say defeat, because I had put in all this work and I felt in that moment like it didn't even matter. I didn't have to do any of that. I sat there and researched which microphone arm to buy. And I sat there for 2 hours trying to figure out, okay, what is the best like price to value and what will be, capable of holding a heavier mic. And just to know that people on Twitch, somebody else doesn't have to do that and can just immediately see. I don't want to say immediately because that discredits a lot of the work that Caspiana put in. And Cass did put in a lot of work. She networks like a motherfucker. She can talk with people and she can engage with people like no one I have ever seen. And I wouldn't want to say for a second that she didn't put in the work. But in that same breath, like it's been years. It's been years that I was like, I want to get to this point. I want to build a computer that is capable of doing this. I want to get the right mic. And it was very defeating. And I think that kind of concept for me is really kind of toxic. And my way of kind of dealing with this is the numbers are not, they don't matter. They don't matter. Because having 25 people in your chat that are all on lurk, what good is that doing you? Besides, like, hey, you're a little closer to partner, maybe, right?
I'm going to both agree and disagree with you on that very last. I'm going to specify that very last statement about what does that do for you, okay? I could write a book on what I think that having 25 people in chat, even if they're not chatting. Now, this being said, I could write a whole nother book on how much more important a chatter is to a non-chatter and blah blah blah. I wrote like a math thing out one time and in words. I wrote it out in words where I was just like, so a chatter's worth this amount of people, and a lurker's worth this amount of people, and then after you hit 10 views, because it's exponential and it actually does. It does though, not like it's like a whole thing. Anyway, not the point. I think that. First off, I get it. A lot, right? I am the guy who still watches YouTube videos and tips and tricks and checking out what I could be doing. Like, I put in all the research before I started. I didn't start networking before, but like, and then sometimes you'll just see people and they'll be like popping off. Like there are other streamers who have started who are almost my size, if not bigger, in the same amount of time or in less time, and it's really difficult. Yep. And I think the important thing to note, because I feel like this is definitely what you were trying to say, is you're not necessarily jealous, you're not mad at them. You don't even like wish them somebody else ill will for that situation.
Exactly.
The thing is you're just. It's human to be like, well, that didn't happen for me. And I think...
I mean, kind of. For me, it's like, I go from, seeing somebody who's doing, so much better than me or can just hop on and instantly see a little bit more success. And I'm not talking about Cass in that example, because I know that she put in work. But the idea that somebody can do that and it doesn't matter. They didn't have to put in that 2 hours to find out which mic arm to grab. They didn't have to sit there and learn how to set up OBS. They didn't have to learn a sprite. They didn't have to learn what lighting to buy. I'd like what lighting took me like days to figure out what lighting would have been ideal for our situation. And I think for me, anyway, and this is just me, it's I could have gotten away with maybe not even doing all that. I could have saved myself like 3 real world days if I had just not bothered and did something else maybe.
I mean,
But
maybe, but maybe not though. And that's really where
it's true.
the whole hard work and luck thing comes in, right? Because like, and it's not that all luck, but it's also not true that if you work your ass off, something's gonna happen. Like it's just
Yep.
not, and it's like,
Yep.
and it's very, I think it's hard to admit. It's weird distress, but while it's not
Hmm.
100% luck, like sure you could get we
Hmm.
could get a 500-person podcast rate right the fuck now. That doesn't mean shit, especially since it's a podcast,
Hmm.
and I won't be like, oh, like jam, haha, welcome in Raiders, but it's both the work aspect that you have to put in and the luck.
Oh,
And the like you can fucking say whatever you want, but it's like sometimes it's just not in the cards. Like sometimes though, you're in the chat at the right time and you meet the right person and then something happens. For every
Oh
one
yeah,
time
yeah.
that happens though, 100 times it won't.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And like regularly I will have like maybe a consistent like 7 people in my stream, and it's fantastic. Chat is popping. I'm having a good time, and I want to just say that that doesn't discourage me. Like having the people there and having the people to talk to, even if it's some people, somebody big will go about, oh yeah, it's 7 people, whatever. That's 7 people that are genuinely talking, genuinely having fun with me, and that, I mean, that has so much more value for me personally.
What I will say,
Mm.
obviously, I'm not saying that 7 people doesn't matter. The one thing I will definitely
Yeah.
say is it's very difficult though. So when you get to the 7 and you're like, "Uh, 7's great. I don't mind 7. Like I'm not pissed off about that. People are chatting, people hanging out. That's great. Then you get to 10,
Absolutely.
10, same situation, right? Then you get to 15, and then you go back, because it always goes back, right? And that's the hard part of it,
Yep.
right? Is like you're
Oh yeah.
not, and even sometimes like I'm not mad that I had a 10-person average this afternoon when I did a random Bayonetta stream, right? I'm not mad about that. That doesn't upset me. But
No, of course.
but it doesn't change that sometimes it's there and sometimes it's not. Like sometimes it'll be a 25 average person stream, and I will also say that afternoon streams have been so fucking random compared to my other time slot. I streamed from
Yep.
like 10 p.m. to 2. I would start at 10 or 11, and I had like a consistent, like I knew what was happening with like average and people and stuff. Afternoons are just like if you have a D20,
Mhm.
feel free to roll that.
I don't have one in the bedroom
And that's what's
actually.
happening. Like that's just what's happening that after. That's how many people didn't have to go to a doctor's appointment or work.
Yep. Yep. And I mean, like, there's like I won't lie and say that sometimes like seeing 3 people in chat is not discouraging. Of course, it's a little bit discouraging, but I wouldn't say it's something that ever like upset me or got me down. Um, if anything, I see that and I'm like, you know what? I have to be that much more engaging for 3 people. There are 3 people here, and they have stuck around despite the fact that nobody else is here. So how do I make this work? But
it's just all a bunch of fucking Twitch bullshit.
yeah, and I mean, like, I've had that where I'll go up to a consistent, like, I'll hit like a consistent like 15 people, and then I'll go back to 7, and it's like yeah, it sucks, but the people are here, and I think that that has a lot of value.
I think that my magic number that if I can ever get past
You've
it,
plateaued.
my magic number that I've seen
Hmm.
that I've gotten to multiple times. It's the same number, by the way, so it's not like if I can ever get past 18. If I can
Hmm.
ever get past 18,
Hmm.
then maybe. If I never
Like
make it past
18 average, or
18 average, yes. I have twice when I was playing God of War, and then a couple months ago again, maybe a month ago again. But then,
Hmm.
life happens. You change your schedule and shit. If I can ever get
Yep.
past 18, then we'll see.
Oh yeah,
Until then,
absolutely.
it's always still building to what you had before. I mean, and there's also like a normal ebb and flow where you cycle through and you have to get new people in and stuff, but that's also like shitty and sucky and a whole nother like weird thing. Like I would prefer I am like a I don't want to call myself a dog. It sounds like a bad connotation, but like I will I will be the loyal to the last number, even in a stream where somebody only has one or two people in it, and I have zero. Like, once I get the whole like I'm not networking, I'm there for the streamer, right? So
Yep.
I will be loyal to the last moment, so long as like I feel like somebody wants to see me succeed and doesn't come into my stream and then just go, oh, well he had a good one, so I won't see you in 3 weeks.
Yeah, yeah. See, that's one of the reasons why I kind of steer away from like the idea of networking in general, and I more so like look for the people, because like I don't know, some part of me feels like it's manipulative to hang out with somebody just so they'll like you back, kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, does that make
No, no,
sense?
I mean, it's definitely true. I will also say that
Mm.
I don't like calling Twitch a game or a grind or anything like that, but to
Yeah,
a certain
yeah.
extent, that's the Twitch game for you, baby.
Fair. See, one of the things I had trouble with, while I remember, is like I consider myself a very eccentric person too. And managing to get that to come out on camera has been really tough. And I think the banana situations have been a grade A example of me finding a way that I can be weird on stream. Because it's really weird to try and be weird on your own. Like that is that it's a weird thing to do, right? So I think like stuff like the banana, it helps. It helps me get out of my shell, and I think that's something I wanted to bring up too, because that was tough to try and like, and that's still slowly happening where I'm kind of getting the weirder side of me out.
Time for the moment of the evening where we do the audience questions. So,
Let's do it.
Chad slash Atoll 4K asks if you didn't have a fallback career and streaming didn't pay off, what would be your third choice?
Probably IT, which is essentially what I had been doing. I did a lot of information security. I did a lot of just generalized IT. I would hate it, but it pays the bills.
I mean,
It's I don't like having to fix other people's problems, and there's only so many times you can tell a poor old person who's being forced to use Microsoft Excel against their will that you need to stop clicking on ads, or they're going to see you every day.
the lovely Betty B plays. Would like to seriously request you tell her your favorite Magic the Gathering commander.
Commander. Uh Yeah, I didn't do a lot of Commander because I was on the more competitive side of things. I played Commander when it was still called EDH. Um, I really liked. Oh God, there was two. I played Vendilion Clique in 1v1s for a long time. That was a lot of fun. I do like Mono Blue. Yep, I'm one of those guys. And I think the other favorite I have, oh god, I can't remember her name. She came out in the first wave of Commander, like pre-builts, white, black, red, and she was like a lady with wings. I can't remember much, but I tried to build around that too. But uh, if I were to go more casual, I'd do vampires, probably like Animal on the Rune Sage or something. But yeah,
Oh, and one ruins age. I understand. Betty B would
just
also
a
like
bunch of vampire stuff.
to. Betty B would also like to know. You said you have a lot of hobbies. So answer yes or no to the following hobbies. Yes. Okay,
Okay.
yes or no to the following hobbies. I said hobbies to be an ass, but I guess it's yes or no. Yes. Do you have anime hobbies?
Yep. I've been watching through Jujutsu Kaisen. Finished my life the time I got reincarnated as a slime not too long ago. I've given a decent shot to My Hero Academia. That's been okay. Don't touch shonen stuff. I can't do Dragon Ball Z anymore, though I loved it as a kid. I can't do Naruto. I can't do One Piece. But everything else is fair game.
I'm like trying not to ask questions about that. Why not? Why not Naruto or One Piece?
Because I don't have the time, bro. You
Okay.
see
Oh,
how
you no, no,
much
no,
I
no,
stream.
no, no. That's
I
fair. You
also
know,
have a full-time job.
that's a great answer. I was like, I didn't know because I've never. So true story. I don't know.
Mm,
I always liked watching Naruto, and I got through most of Shippuden, and then I never
mm.
watched One Piece because there were 400 episodes when I started watching Naruto. So you know
Yep.
what? That's a perfect answer because that's the only reason I've never seen One Piece.
And I
Um,
tried. I tried to get into Naruto, and I've tried multiple times. And I've made it my best record was like last year. I got sick, and I sat in bed and watched a season and a half of Naruto, and I was like, every fight scene is the same. He's just there's always one extra place that the bad guy doesn't expect him to be, and the clone jutsu makes him up there, and oh, they thought there'd be three bad guys, but there's four. It
I
got
mean, to be
got
fair, I
convert.
think Shippuden was better than the original, but also we're getting off topic. Yes or no? Board game hobbies.
Board games, a whole lot of D&D. Aside from that, well, not a whole lot of D&D, a whole lot of tabletop role-playing games. Um, Aside from that, not so much. I've never been opposed. I've never been opposed at all. I've just never had much of an opportunity. Because my money's always gone to different places. Video games, D&D.
Yes or no? Puzzle hobbies.
Yes.
Yes or
Puzzle
no?
games,
Yes or no?
puzzle.
Comic hobbies.
Yeah. Recently read through all of the Avatar comics.
Yes to everything. Yes or no? Ultimate frisbee.
Heck no. I don't know nothing about sport ball.
Chad would like to know. If you had to choose between being blind or deaf, which would it be?
Yeah, easy. I love music. I love it. It is a huge part of my life. But video games are bigger.
I mean, that's fair. I mean, I would have chosen deaf too, and my logic would have been video.
Yeah, I mean, you could still keep twitching then. We would just probably sound a little different.
Sound a little different. I would always have subtitles on the game.
Yeah.
There would have been a couple of moments in Bayonetta where I would have completely missed something because I could not catch it because it went too quick.
Mm, mm.
Agent Spacely would like to know if you were to get another tattoo, what would it get? What would you get and why? Sorry.
Okay, so this is I'm gonna do two things here because I've already got my next appointment booked. It is booked, and we know we're getting. So I've got nope, wrong arm. I'm getting the Ifrit summon up here, and we get a color in Bahamut. So that's already planned. So I'm gonna do you one better and tell you what I would do after that. I want to start Nintendo stuff on this arm. And I think I would want to do something Mario Brothers 3 related because it's really important to me because me and my dad spent many, many years playing Super Mario Brothers 3 together, and it would be important to me.
Steven Zero says you have to have a license to be a server? Question mark.
Yeah, you do. it's not like I don't think it's a legal requirement. I think I've got it on me here. Maybe not. I don't think it's a legal requirement, but it is something that they like you wouldn't get hired if you didn't have it. It's called Smart Serve. It's the easiest license ever. You just sit there, it's an open book test, and they're like, is it safe to serve a person who seems intoxicated? And you just say no. So
What version of the Ifrit summon would you get tattooed? Are you getting it tattooed?
which version? So I don't know yet. And the reason why I don't know is uh I wanted something original. And one of the great things about my artist, and she's wonderful by the way, and I would definitely recommend checking her out. I'll post it in somebody's Discord or my Discord at some point. But I gave her a bunch of sample artwork because I also have Shiva up here too. Um, I gave her a bunch of the artwork, and she's been Googling. She's a huge nerd too. She mostly does anime tattoos. And she's going to kind of do her own thing with all of those, but it will be very obviously be Ifrit.
Where are my tomatoes? Would like to know. Where are my tomatoes?
I eated them.
Okay. So the real question, by the way, was why do you move? Why did you move to Ontario?
Why did I move? So at the time I worked for uh probably the biggest phone company in Canada. Uh or AT&T, so to speak. And I was a small business sales representative, and I was making 60 grand a year ish. So I was making a good living. And then the price of oil died. Now, the problem in the province that we're from was nobody makes money in the province. They either go to Alberta to make money and keep flying back and forth for their job and do 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off kind of thing. Or the other thing that they do is they'll do offshore oil rigs. Now, when the price of oil died, half of these people were no longer employed. So what ended up happening there is people were not spending money. So my job at the time was commission based, which meant I'm not making money. So I went from making about 60 grand to about 16 grand. And at the time, I had just came back from my mom's wedding, who my mom does live in Ontario. So I attended her wedding. I saw like I have a really big family. My brothers were kind of growing up without me. So I came back to Newfoundland and I told Caspian, I was like, I gotta leave. Like my brothers are growing up without me. There's no money for me here. And she was like, cool, let's go. So, yeah.
Betty B Plays would like to know. You play Dr. Mario.
I dabble. I was always more of a Tetris kid. Dr. Mario was fine, but that was one of those games that you'd walk into Blockbuster and be like, if nothing else is here, maybe I'll grab that one.
Where are my tomatoes would like to know. What is your dream career?
My dream career? When I envision my life like 20, 30 years from now, I never picture working. My goals in life have never been career oriented. I've never been a career oriented guy, really. I want to be able to make enough money to survive, and besides that, I I don't really have one. Which would be fantastic. Being a computer engineer would also be fantastic. But at the end of the day, I just want like a happy fam. That's really it for me.
I see a guitar case. Are you musical? What do you play? Where are my tomatoes again?
I play everything, like actually everything. I can't play drums. I have a ukulele there. We have an acoustic guitar, electric guitar. I dabbled in a bit of bass. In one of the stage plays I was in, I was cast as the bass player for Buddy Holly, Joey B. Molden. Uh, yeah, pretty much anything with strings. I can dabble in a bit of piano, keyboard kind of stuff as well. But that's just a little bit of dabbling. But yeah, pretty much anything with strings.
When is Siege's OnlyFans starting? Caspiano.
When I run out of money and bananas.
Fair. Tell us about your beautiful lemons. Question.
My beautiful what?
Melon. Sorry, I got confused because it wasn't a question. Tell us about your beautiful melons. You mocked us.
Well, it's not very cold in here. They don't have much to say.
You don't have much to say. You know what? It's fine. It was a weird question. Anyway, if you were to start a business about anything that is non-gaming related, what would it be?
I thought for a while about doing like a cybersecurity firm, to some extent, like ethical hacking kind of stuff. So when I was doing contract work for a metal manufacturing company in downtown Hamilton, they spent like tens of thousands of dollars on this cybersecurity firm to just come in and show where they could get in, how their things break. And it wasn't particularly difficult work. It was just obvious holes. And uh with my little bit of background in information security, obviously it's not that easy. I'm not that dumb, but with the skill set and knowledge set that I have, I feel like it would be interesting. See, one of the things that I'm a lifelong learner. So even if I'm not uh learning on the job, I want to be doing something. And I think that would be a scenario in which I could be a lifelong learner. So, yeah.
Neff would like to know: do you see yourself streaming for years in the future?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing that would slow me down. Like I've seen the streams go from 15. I've seen uh how bad it can get in terms of like having somebody get chirpy in comments and stuff. Not on mine, granted, but on friends' streams, and I've heard stories. And I'm so used to putting on the customer service voice and saying, "I'm sorry you feel that way," but Ben, years easy, easy without a doubt.
How big is your family? Dark mode. Caspiano. I think that's an emote, but I said dark mode anyway.
That's fine. I have five brothers, two stepsisters, and one stepbrother. Um, I have the man who raised me. My dad is not my dad by blood. I met my real dad when I was 16, so I've got two dads there, and my mom remarried, which makes me three dads, and none of them are gay. Um, only one mom and one stepmom, so that's all right. But yeah, that's about it. Immediate family, we're not going to get into, or sorry, past immediate family, we're not going to get into. Three stepsisters? No.
What is your favorite Radiohead album? Steve Zero.
The Steve, I'm so sorry. Okay, Computer? No, maybe not Okay Computer. In Rainbows is really good too. I'm gonna say in Rainbows. Oh yeah, I forgot about Alexis. Yeah, I do have three stepsisters. My bad.
What game are you most proud of in your collection? Caspiano.
She would ask the tough stuff. Um, we have the original. I have an original copy of Fire Emblem that I got when I was a kid. I also have a bunch of SNES games that are really rare and worth probably close to like 100 and some odd dollars. I have a first printing of Final Fantasy VII. Um, one of those three. Cybernator, maybe. I don't know. That's it. Fire Emblem. We're gonna stick to Fire Emblem.
Audience questions are over.
I feel kind of bad for you there. You just had to kind of sit there and listen to me talk. That got to be annoying.
There was a lot of them. It's like a 50-50 shot whether they're a 500 or 5. You got 500, you're a lucky person. So
lucky.
you have a couple more questions. Not very many though. What is your opinion of ads on Twitch?
They're fine. I mean, I have seen it where people will tune in. My numbers will go up for that 10, 20 seconds, and then they'll go away because they don't want to sit through an ad. And like, fine. I think that affiliates should get more of what the payout is because I know I've probably streamed like a couple hundred hours and I think I've made like 60 cents, like pretty ridiculous. But I think they're fine. They have a purpose. They keep the site running. It makes sense.
I mean, I think that as far as that goes, there's a couple things. I think one of them is that it's hard to balance the system, especially when it's per viewer, per ad, per whatever. When there are people with tens of thousands of viewers, up to 100,000 viewers, or I don't fucking. I honestly don't know. By the way, like, Zelda's a streaming podcast and doesn't know how many viewers people might have because he didn't check. But it would be very hard to balance because once you get up there, you really do start earning a lot from ads. But like, I think as you kind of pointed out there, people have a strange aversion to ads, even though you know they're gonna happen. Like, you go to a new stream to check a channel out, and you know you're gonna get an ad, right? Like, I'm not crazy. Am I? Like, it's a thing. Like, if you were to click on it, I'll ask you. If you clicked on a channel that you've never been to, or you don't have a subscription to, would you expect to have an ad?
I would, and it blows my mind that people don't expect it.
Oh my
in
god,
this
you
day
just
and
blew
age.
my mind right there too.
I
Literal
know.
blown. You would expect to have an ad. So that's the one thing I don't understand about it. I'm sure people have noticed that I'll run a 90-second ad if I have to go pee or check the kids or whatever, or sometimes just because I'm running a 90-second ad and I think everybody's subscribed and I miss some people. But like, it's really weird that I feel like there's such an aversion. Like, if I have a whole bunch of new people,
it is really weird, right? It is weird,
and it's literally the only place where it's not acceptable. Which is crazy too, because if you don't ever subscribe to anybody and you want to hang out and you're enjoying yourself, literally the only way you're support. Which I'm not saying you should subscribe. Don't take this the wrong way. I'm not saying yes sub, whatever give bits. But that would be literally watching an ad would be the only way you're supporting that channel.
Yep.
That's giving you the content that you want to see, right?
Exactly. And I mean, like, that said, it's not. It's 30 seconds. It's 30 seconds. Well, I would back in my day, we had to watch through 5 minutes of commercials before, like.
Sometimes more. Sometimes if a show ended early, they would just run the whole 7 minutes. They would just be like, okay,
when ABC would do, what was it? Their Sunday night they would do like a Disney movie.
Yeah.
And you would have like a Disney movie, like a full Disney movie, but it would be broken up into chunks where they could put like 5 full minutes of just like, you should eat Cinnamon Toast Crunch cereal.
Neff is trying to
and
cheat.
30 seconds killed them.
Neff is trying to cheat with another question, but I guess I'll allow it. Cat can win. Question mark.
I closed the door with the cat out there because her tendency now is to come up and sit right here, right next to me, not do anything, just go. And I didn't want to be rude to you.
My cat, didn't like the stream. She didn't like the lights and stuff. And now every once in a while, she just comes in and fucking cats in my face. Just straight up cats in my face. She walks on both my keyboards. She knocks over a drink. She jumps on me. And then if I'm playing a game, she'll get on my arms. She also doesn't like. She doesn't check. She doesn't like cat beds and stuff. That's a whole other story. So I couldn't get her in a stationary spot.
Yeah.
Do you watch tip videos for streams?
Yes and no. Um, I definitely watched a lot of tip videos. I wouldn't even say a lot. I watched 2 or 3 before I started streaming. And that's when I realized kind of like this is not a path to success. This is just vague suggestions. Um I do watch reviews of like hardware for things I'm thinking about buying. Like we're replacing this bad boy soon. But I think that's about as close as I would get because I don't think anyone can really give you anything past like make a schedule. Um don't be a dick. Like really what can they do? You
There have
know?
been some genuinely helpful things that have been suggested. There's some genuinely unhelpful things, and I do think that there's a mix of like obvious. There's a mix of like, okay, I guess worthless. There's worthless tier. Worthless, then there's obvious, then there's okay, then there's good, and then there's unique. And then on a whole nother level is like this whole another exact same thing of like all the same rankings but specific. Like specific to the person. Um quote I'm gonna quote the luck based thing, like shit that like not actually gonna you don't know, you know? By some people's logic, if you consider this a collaboration, the podcast,
Yeah.
I should be rich and famous.
Fair.
I'm sure
fair.
there's a sure there's a tip video out there that was just like just do collabs, get somebody, talk to somebody. I mean, obviously this is a podcast and it's very specific, but
Hmm.
if you could go back 2 whole months ago, I know it's a long time, so I don't know if you can think, and give yourself one piece of advice about streaming, what would it be?
You're probably overthinking it. You're probably overthinking it like crazy. If I could go back farther, I would have told myself to start sooner. Uh, in that in that same respect, I think that I'm happy with how things turned out. I'm happy with everything that led me to this moment. I wouldn't want to change it,
No,
but I think that starting earlier would have kind of been nice.
I think that's
And
kind of. Sorry, continue. My bad.
no,
I got
go ahead, go
distracted
ahead.
for a second, and then I started interrupting. No, continue. Start sooner.
I think that the biggest thing is like I was so worried for so long that like, man, if my camera's not good enough, nobody's gonna want to watch me play like Super Mario 3 on a Logitech C270. Nobody's gonna want to like no, that isn't the case. That was never the case, and I could have gotten away with a lot of things that would have helped me to start sooner. And I got up in my head about weird things before starting, but probably that.
I can feel that. I think I would have liked to start sooner. Um, my idea to start streaming was like an epiphany. I was like, why haven't I thought about doing that? And then I started, and then it's like, I feel like also it'd be crazy as all talking, but if it started sooner, I wouldn't feel so old and rushed in some things. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah,
but like,
I mean,
but like if you put 5 or 10 hours a week into something
yeah.
for 4 more years, right? Then you could get away with a lot less time put in, like a lot less time commitment, etc., etc.
Mm, mm. I definitely get that. And like in that same breath, though, stuff like Streamlabs, I taught myself pretty quick. And of course, I'm no expert. I'm never going to think that I know everything about any one thing. But
You heard it here first. Siegemunde knows everything about Streamlabs.
I know, like any one piece of program that would have helped me stream. It's not difficult to learn. There are so many resources out there and so many good free resources out there to teach you something like Premiere Pro, right? And or Streamlabs. And you know, starting sooner and learning what you're actually going to be using and what people actually care about and what will actually make your stream look better would have been fantastic, because I taught myself everything about hardware and what good does knowing the impedance of this microphone here do me right now?
I mean,
Nothing.
I think I will say though, there's sooner and then there's sooner, right? So like,
Yeah.
I think a decent amount of people, if they started before the stream boom of 2020, which is what I'm going to call COVID-19 for streaming purposes,
The stream boom.
the stream boom of 2020, I think that you might have even had a better shot, like, of getting further faster. Just the same. I mean, kind of the same logic of like if you were in a certain time slot versus another versus whatever XYZ. Which I mean, you know, you can't help. Like I can't help that maybe someone's time zone isn't that good. I can't help whether my time zone is good. Because you know what, 12:30 for me when it might be good to stream might not be good for millions of people.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I think we're in the we're both Eastern. Yeah,
we are.
New York. Yeah, we're both Eastern. Yeah.
I have a theory that Pacific time is the best time to stream, if not across the ocean. I do have a theory. It involves the fact that yes, it involves that. That's what I said.
It's all them Californians. All them Californians and their surfboards.
There's like a dissonance, like so noon for me is like 2 a.m. for Australian people. For some reason, I know a million Australian people. I actually know a specific person who knows a million Australian people. Like, great, you know what? It will never be in their streams. They'll never be in my streams. Because the funny thing about that is, that also means that 2 p.m. noon for them would be 10 for me. All right.
Yeah, like I hang out with a couple Australian people too, and like it's odd stream times for us to say the least. But
well, yeah, but I've also seen people who I think are streaming like in the morning, but it's not weird for them to stream in the morning, right? Because they've always done it, and I think it's worked exceptionally well. And I do think a decent amount of their it's just the time zone. Like, who else is streaming at that time? Like, I honestly, there are definitely less people streaming at 8 o'clock in the morning for me than there are at noon for me. Just maths.
I think in that same breath, though, there's something to be said for like existing in the space between too, because like a lot of people, like I had one of my coworkers tell me like you should be streaming in the evening. The law of numbers. There's going to be more free people, so more people will show up. Well, that's assuming that they're not already in other streams, because I have so much more competition then too.
That's definitely a thing about the afternoon, where it's just like when I start, nobody I know is on, other than one person I met after I picked my time, which it used to be me, which I didn't pick at all. Literally just he goes for a nap, and then Daddy tries to stream. Not really something I picked. It's called life circumstances. Hashtag. That's all I got. Hashtag.
Just
for our final trick of the night.
Cool.
Sell your stream to me. Sell your stream to us. Why should we go to a Siegemunde stream?
Why should you go to a Siegemunde stream? Well, you should go to a Siegemunde stream because, for one, family. And who doesn't love family when your family's not a dick? For two, I seductively eat bananas. It sounds so much worse than it is. No, strike that. Reverse it. It's a lot worse in person. I'm gonna say, nerdy things. I have been told, time and again, that I am a nerd. But you combine all three of these things into a concoction of beauty that is unparalleled. And you should attend this unparalleled beauty and become one of us. That's pretty much all I got, though.
Oh, good, because I really wanted him to say, and you combine these three things and you get Captain Planet, but he didn't want to stop you if you had more to say about it.
With the power combined!
Exactly. Alrighty, it is